Hello everyone and welcome to the pre-show drive, and what a great little start. Look at that, we've got a big family of warthog. Now we're not quite on the go just yet. Well, we're out in the bush, but we haven't started officially. But this is a nice little surprise, finding some warthog just quickly, as you do. It's been a nice, very, very warm afternoon, and look at this beautiful, clear blue sky that we've got at the moment. Now, we were saying, and those of you who've been watching the last few days, there's been a lot of rain, and this rain has settled all the dust. It's made it very nice. There's a lot of puddles around. You can see just in front of me some puddles, and the animals really enjoyed this rain too, I think. It's very welcome because it's going to be dry soon. We're moving into the dry season. Anyway, but what can I tell you? It's been a lovely day. We got food delivery today, so we're all very happy. Wednesdays are food delivery days, so we're very happy when Wednesdays arrive. And then we have got 3 schools joining us, who we will welcome once the show starts. So three schools with little children of between the ages of 8 and 10, which is lovely. So nice that they'll be able to join us and learn a little bit about Africa. And that is it. And then this afternoon, it's going to be myself and Jamie on the vehicles. And then James will be on foot. And I'm sure he's looking forward to it. He enjoys walking around. Feels like a bit of a lazy afternoon. However, it is Leopard Day, everyone. Big Leopard Day. I think it's just Leopard Day. International Leopard Day. Is that it? Alice, is that it? World Leopard Day. So that is really good. So we are going to try our best to find a leopard on World Leopard Day. Well, this afternoon, we did find one this morning. We found Tingana, a beautiful big male leopard, which was great. Lovely to see him. So I suppose we found our leopard for the day, but we need to make sure everybody gets to hopefully see a leopard. It's not always that easy, but we'll see. Perhaps with this heat, some of the leopards have moved around a little bit earlier in the morning and gone and settled down in some shade. Maybe we see one or two, and who knows? Maybe spot one up in a tree. That'll be great. Well, these warthog are very relaxed. Some nice tusks. And that's it. We're going to be starting shortly, so stay tuned. If you've just logged on, hopefully everything's working in terms of signal and in terms of computers and everything. We all seem to be fine this side, and I think Jamie is on Cheetah planes, so she's going to be starting the show shortly in the next 38 seconds. Was that close there, Alice? Yeah. Okay, so I'm going to see you all shortly. I'm going to carry on, look for animals. Jamie's going to start the show. See you soon.
This program features live coverage of an African safari and may include animal kills and carcasses. Viewer discretion is advised.
Welcome to the vast African wilderness, where we get to go on live safaris twice a day, every day. This is Safari Live.
Ready. Standing by.
and a very good afternoon to all of you, and welcome to our sunset safari here in the afternoon in South Africa. My name is Jamie, and this afternoon Craig is on camera with me. He's also known as Batman. And before we go into the details of where we are and what we do, a very warm welcome to Windsor Oaks and Midway Elementary and College Park Elementary. I hope you kids are all super excited. These are the schools that are going to be joining us for the first part of our sunset safari and sending through their questions and getting acquainted with the wildlife that we have out here. And we're coming to you live from, at the moment, a place called Cheetah Plains Game Reserve, which is in the Greater Kruger National Park area of South Africa. So up in the top northeastern corner of a very beautiful, rather large country. And for all our regular viewers, please send through your questions on #SafariLive on Twitter. Right, without any further ado, it's a warm afternoon. It's warm and sunny. In fact, the hottest it's been in a week, 10 days. Beautifully warm afternoon, which means the possibilities are boundless. We're going to go visit the water holes, check for animals around there. Visit a very special day.
Oh dear, it sounds like Jamie has lost signal. Hello everyone, my name is Byron, and on camera with me this afternoon is David. Now, it's lovely to have all you young kids watching from the 3 different schools. Windsor Oaks, and who else have we got this afternoon? We've got Midway and College Park, I think it was. So hello to all of you, lovely to have you with us. And don't forget, send us your questions. Ask your teacher to send the questions and we'll happily answer them for you. Oh, there's a beautiful bird I'd like to show you. Let's see if it goes down. Oh, what was it dive bombing over there? It's called a lilac-breasted roller. Now, I'm not sure what it's... There it goes. Let's see. Oh, there it sits, and I think we're going to have a lovely view of it from here. I'm going to get right underneath it. There we go. Dave, is that okay? There we go. It's called a lilac-breasted roller. Look at him. Very beautiful bird. And listen to that call, if he calls again. Very harsh little call. Oh, see those little starlings now just below it. Oh, they're all fighting and dive bombing each other. Now the reason for that, and the starlings are sitting there too. They're sitting just over there. Now I think they've possibly got a nest nearby. Some of these birds are territorial and they don't like other birds around them too much. And also these lilac-breasted rollers can cause quite a bit of havoc. So that starling, there we go, it's a Burchell's starling. Possibly just decided to try and chase the roller away. Lovely bird. Look at the beautiful bluish green color on the wings as the light hits it. Very pretty bird. Now, I am looking for a number of things today. I'm going to be looking for leopards, hopefully, and then also I'd love to see some elephants. Now, it is very warm, so I'm checking all these little mud wallows and water holes, hoping that we might bump into some animals that have decided to come in this afternoon. So we will see what we can find. And I hope all of you are having a great day wherever you are in the world. And on this World Leopard Day. Jason, hello Jason, good afternoon. You want to know how many animals we find each day? Well, Jason, it's difficult to say because every day is different. Some days we see lots of animals. We'll see herds of impala, we'll see different antelope species like inyala, kudu, wildebeest. Then we also see zebra, giraffe. Sometimes we'll find elephant and rhino and buffalo, but other days it can be a bit quiet where we don't see as much. So it all depends, Jason. It does all depend. There's never a guarantee out here. This is a big national park, so it's completely open. There are no fences. The animals can move around where they want. So there's no guarantee. We literally have to look very, very carefully, and we've got to listen out to the bush to give us clues on where to find these animals. Maybe look for little from the sand. They've possibly been walking. That will help us find them too. So we'll try use all the skills that we have to find these animals. Now, what I mean by some skills is this. Have a look at this. This is lovely. Do you see on the side of the tree? I'm just going to jump out quickly to show you properly. But look over here. That's very, very nice. You can see this mud all that's been scraped up against the tree over here, and you can see it's very, very tall, very high. The animal that scraped the mud against this tree. And here is another clue. Have a look at this. You see there's a little mark in the tree over here. It's been scraped away. Now this is from a big elephant. Now the elephant has come and they've possibly splashed some mud on themselves from one of those water holes we just passed, and what's happened is they've come scraped up against the tree and rubbed the mud off. And I think what's happened here is the elephant pushed its tusk into the side of the tree like this to scrape maybe just a little bit of the bark off. I think that's what's happened there. So that's a good sign, but that's not fresh mud. That's old mud. But it is a sign that we would use to look for animals. If we found fresh mud on the tree, then we know that those elephants are hopefully close by. Let's continue now. There's a lovely drainage line to my right. Now, drainage line's an area that's got a lot of big trees, and it's usually where all the water will flow to when it rains heavily. Now, it's an ideal place for animals like leopards, nice and cool and shady. Just having a good look. We don't want to miss anything, so we've got to look very carefully in the bush. As you can see, it's quite thick at the moment. A lot of rain, so hopefully we'll have some luck finding something. Okay, now, you know I'm not the only one out here. Let's go and see what my friend Jamie is doing right now.
I'm thinking about what Byron has just said about how dense the vegetation is and how long the grass is. And that's perfect if you're a leopard because it provides you with lots of places to hide. Of course, it being International Leopard Day, we are going to be searching for leopards. And this is one place where I've had lots of luck with surprise leopards. It's a water hole with 3 different water sources. There is one over there, but there's no leopard hiding there unless I'm much mistaken. And twice I've bumped into leopards here that I didn't even realize were hanging about. Hannah, you want to know if we usually see leopards. Hannah, do you mean in the last month or do you mean in the last 2 years? No, we do. We see lots of leopards. At the moment, we haven't seen that many. It's just the way of the world. The bush is very thick, as Byron said. It's easy for them to hide. But we probably see leopards at least 2-3 times a week, probably more on good weeks. And we're going to see more and more as we start to go into our dry season. And so, basically, places like this, which at the moment is completely devoid of any life at all to show you, but at places like this, all of the animals have to come here to come and drink. And so for leopards and for lions and for all of the other predators, it's much easier for them to find prey because they can just come here and search around the water holes. And there's a young male leopard called Vutomi who likes to spend a lot of time around here, and that's because Vutomi's quite small, he's still quite young, and he likes to hunt terrapins. But it seems as though all the terrapins have learnt their lesson in this area because I can't find one. Usually you see terrapins swimming about. A terrapin is like a mixture between a turtle and a tortoise. It swims in water, but it can also walk on land. And there aren't any here. Perhaps they've decided this isn't the place to be if Vutomi's going to come and potentially catch them. Now let's go and check some of the other water holes quickly. That's what I'm going to do this afternoon. Maya, you want to know why are there different water holes? Well, remember, some animals live in territories and some walk huge distances, and so they want to come to different water holes wherever they happen to be at the time. And it's to make sure that for some animals, they have a water hole in their territory and they don't have to leave their territory to go to another water hole. And also, at this time of year, water holes form in different places. Maya, if you're asking why there's 3 different ones there, I'm not quite sure about that. I'm not quite sure. That was just something. They are man-made. They've been put there by people, and I guess people decided that 3 were better than 1. I guess 3 times the chance of seeing something, maybe. I'm not sure. Here's a bird. It's the same bird Byron was trying to show you. Ooh, is it going to fly? Yes, it's going to fly. Don't fly, don't fly. Okay. It's quite hidden there. There's 2 birds. There's one on the left, and then if we look a little bit to the right, Craig, we'll see the other one on the branch out in the open. There we go. A pretty lilac-breasted roller. I know that Byron showed you one already, but you can never get too much of these birds. Unfortunately, these 2 are sitting right into the sun. They're quite hidden, and you can't see the colors as well. I'm sorry, I didn't quite get your name there, but we have a question about why does the lilac-breasted roller have such a long tail? Elijah, you want to know why the lilac-breasted roller has such a long tail. A couple of reasons. A bird will have a long tail for 2 reasons. One is that it might make it more agile when it's catching insects, so it helps to balance it. Oh, there it goes. So that it can change direction quickly. Well done, Craig. We might even... No. I thought perhaps they were going to show you why they're called lilac-breasted rollers. And the other reason is that it is basically a reproductive strategy. So by looking beautiful and having a nice long tail, they can show off how fit and strong they are by carrying that long tail. And of course, if you're looking for a potential animal to mate with, if a lilac-breasted roller is looking for a female or a male, they're going to want to choose one that's really fit and strong. And that's why some birds have very, very, very long tails, because it just shows off how strong they are. But it's a balance, because if it's too long, it makes them very heavy, and it means they can't fly as well. Now the females, well, there it goes. Awesome. And then, when they finish breeding with the females, then they lose their tail, because they grow such long tails that they can't even fly properly, and that makes them at risk of being caught by predators, which they don't want either. Gavin, you want to know if we ever find any big animals. I hope so, Gavin. I'm hoping we're going to find some big animals to show you. Sometimes we find elephants, sometimes we find hippopotamus, sometimes we find buffalo. Those are all very, very big animal. A lion is a big animal. Remember, a big lion can weigh up to 200 kilograms. That's over 400 pounds. Even a big leopard is quite a big thing. A big leopard can weigh easily twice my weight. Oh, they can be very, very big. But On a day like today, when they're lying in the shade, they could be very difficult to see. Imagine if I'm a leopard, right? So just imagine this. And let's have a look into this long grass here. Now let's say, because it's quite warm, let's say a leopard wanted to go and lie in the shade over there at the back. Okay? So you think, oh, well, that should be easy. Should be very easy to spot. But now watch this. So if I'm a leopard, whoopsie, nearly lost my microphone there. That would have been tragic. If I'm a leopard and I'm in this long grass and I want to go lie in the shade, it would be very funny if I found a leopard now, just by the way. If I were lying in the shade here, this looks like a comfortable spot to lie down. So now I'm lying down. Now I don't even have spots, and you know that I've sat down here. So this is about how well you'd be able to see a leopard. I'm still here, but it's very difficult to spot. And now I have to get up again. Oh, use the grass to pull me up. So that's why it's tricky to spot leopards, and that's why we've got to hope, or a lion actually, even a sleeping lion would be difficult to see in this long, long grass. So what we've got to hope is that they're up in a tree or on a termite mound, or, like I said earlier, around the water. Now I've got lots of stuff in my socks. See, this is a very clever approach of grass. Don't blow away. While I plug myself back in so I can hear your questions. Look at that. That was in my sock. And that is a grass seed or a plant seed that has sharp little points, and it's really good at getting caught in your socks, but it's also really good at attaching to the fur of animals. Now, why would grass seeds want to attach to the fur of animals? Well, if you think about it, it's a really good way to go from one place to another. And grass, like a lot of plants, what grass really wants to do is spread all over the place. So there's different examples of the way that grass seeds can develop little hooks, sharp hooks or spikes that get into your socks. And you must have experienced this before. I don't know if you've ever encountered a plant called blackjack. The blackjacks get stuck in your socks, and so do grass seeds. And it works really well with animal fur because the grass gets attached to that, and then it gets spread, and then the seeds fall off, and the grass can grow somewhere different. And that's the way that grass and other plants spread around here. A lot of trees do something different. They produce fruit. And when an animal eats the fruit, it goes walking off, and it takes some time to digest. And then by the end of its digestive process, it goes to deposit some dung somewhere, or some scat, or some feces. And wherever it's deposited that, it's deposited some seeds. Now Ariana, you want to know, what about the clues? How do we know which clues are from the animals and which clues aren't? Well, the trick is to learn what different clues there are. So, Ariana, while we stop in the shade, let's think about what some clues could be. So, if I were to go walking along this road and maybe hours later Craig came by and he was searching for clues, what do you think that he might look for? Well, one of the first things he's going to look for is my footprints, because I'm going to leave footprints on the sand as I walk along. Now, I'd love to show you some footprints, but I haven't found any yet, but I suppose that's the sort of thing that we're looking for. What else could we look for? Well, if I was a big elephant, I'd leave very big footprints, but I might also leave piles of dung in the road like this one. So that's another clue. But now you've got to be careful with clues, because look at this clue here. Let me jump out and show you. So look at this clue here. Oopsie, keep forgetting about that. This seems like a clue, doesn't it? It's a pile of dung. It's come from an elephant. But you've got to be careful now, because this is not a fresh clue. And here's where we have to look at other parts of the evidence as well. Look here. See how it is a little bit wet, but that's because it's been raining. But look here, see how there's sand all over this pile of dung, and along the edges it's really, really dry. So what that means was that this animal didn't walk along this road recently, because the dung has had time to dry and the termites and the ants have had a time to start to feed off it. So we've got another clue. So it's all about knowing which clues are important and which clues are not. This is another clue. Now this is a difficult one. Footprints are easy. You can learn what an animal's footprint looks like. Dung is easy because you can see that it's an elephant's dung. But what about this clue over here? What about this clue? Can you see what I'm looking at? This just looks like a tree, doesn't it? But it's not just a tree, because look there, see how it's been broken? That's another type of clue, because this tells me that an elephant came, and let me make sure I don't make the same mistake with my microphone again. Let me tuck it in. An elephant's come through here, broken the branch, and fed off all the leaves of this branch, which is why this branch has died. So an elephant's come here, broken that, stripped away the leaves here with its trunk, like this, and then eaten them. But again, this branch is quite dry, which tells me that it wasn't recent. So that's another type of clue that you can look for. What other types of clue might we get? Sometimes a clue is really difficult to spot. Sometimes a clue looks like this. That's a clue. Doesn't look like much, does it? How do we know it's a clue? Well, if nothing had been here, all of that grass would be standing upright, just like the grass that I walked behind earlier. Now that has been squashed by something big. And probably that same elephant that put his dung on the road, that ate the tree, and has now walked all over this patch here and left behind some evidence. So you see, sometimes the clues are difficult to spot. Some of them are easy. A footprint is easy. A pile of dung or poo is easy. But sometimes it's a bit more difficult. I'm going to go and see if I can find some more clues to show you, and maybe even an animal at the end of the trail of evidence. Let's see whether or not Byron's found any clues on his afternoon drive.
Not yet, Jamie. I'm looking and I'm using my binoculars to have a look around for any clues or some birds or something interesting. And it is quite warm, and I think the animals are all hiding in the shade somewhere. So we haven't found anything just yet, but still too soon to panic. As I always say, we're going to, I'm sure we'll find something soonish. Let's have a look what clues we can find. Now, when you have a look, an area like this, just off to the left, you can see there's a nice shady little area and a termite mound. Now that is an old termite mound, so it means it's not active anymore. There are no termites in there. You can see there's a lot of grass that's growing on it. It's a very big mound. You can see, look, it goes right up to the top, and you can see the soil there. Now, why I'm looking at this termite mound is because sometimes animals like leopards like to go and lie on top of termite mounds like that, because it's a lovely little area that they can stay out of the long grass, and also that one's perfect because it's in the shade. So it would be a lovely spot for a leopard to lie down and rest in the heat of the day. Now, Adrian, your question is, I suppose, related to with me saying how leopards might be on the termite mounds. You asked, where do they live? So they live out in this area, anywhere. Leopards, lions, all the predators This is their home. What they do is they don't have a specific place that they go back to. They will just rest within their territory, within their home, the whole area. And they will go and rest in maybe a thick drainage line, so some of those thick areas that I showed you earlier with those big trees, nice soft sand. They may lie down there and sleep there. They could also possibly sleep in the trees or rest in the trees. They could just lie under the shade of some of these trees around here, for example. It could be anywhere, and that's also why it makes it quite difficult to try and find them. There's never a guarantee. We've got to look very, very carefully. But we're not just looking for the big cats, we're looking for any animals. Some of the antelope species, or elephant, or buffalo, who knows, maybe even a giraffe. Mackenzie, you asked, do we ever see snakes? We do indeed, yes. We do see, I wouldn't say a lot of snakes, because the snakes, believe it or not, are actually more afraid of us than we are of them. So if they hear the big vehicle coming, or even if we're just walking, they try to get out of your way very quickly. So you don't often see them, but they are around, and we do see them sometimes. And we've got many different types of snakes in this area. From one of the largest in Africa, it's known as the African rock python. Now, it's a very, very big python that can get to about 6 meters long, which is probably 2 of me. If I lie flat out with my arms stretched, probably 2 of me almost. And that's how big a big python can get. Very thick, powerful animal. Oh, look, and I've spotted some animals. There we go. Our luck is starting to change. Hold on. I'm going to try to get us into a nice position here. Have a look here. Oh, look. And look, there goes some kudu quickly before they run away. Here they go. That's a big kudu, the one at the back, with those beautiful spiral horns. And there's some, there we go. You can just see his horns behind the bushes. They blend in so well, don't they? Now, that's a kudu, and then the smaller antelope that we can see around here. Sorry, Dave, we parked at a bit of an angle here. That's a female kudu, and then to the right, the small antelope, that's an impala. Can you see the young impala? There he goes. So 2 different types of antelope. That's another impala. You can see it's much, much smaller than that big kudu that we saw. Now, these are all different antelope that we get around here. And they're happy to move around in the same area because generally they feed on the same vegetation. Oh, that's lovely. Look how big that female kudu is compared to those male impala. And you see the little birds? There goes a big male impala. You see his big horns? There he goes. But that female kudu is still much bigger than him. And do you see that the female kudu, as she walked there, we can just see her again. Look at those birds all riding on her back. Isn't that funny? Those are known as oxpeckers. So the oxpecker, they are birds that sit on these animals and they pick off the little ticks and the fleas that sit on these animals. So they actually help them out quite a bit. And you can see how difficult it is to spot the animals once they disappear through the thick bush. Jasmine, it's also just like the question we had earlier of how many animals we see in one day. It's difficult to say how many birds we see in one day. We see a number of different birds. It can be anywhere from 20 up to 100, 150 different birds. So it all depends on the time of year. It depends how hard we're looking for birds. So yeah, it's difficult to say, Jasmine. I'm not sure. There goes a bird. You see it just fly across the screen. So a lot of birds around at the moment. Beautiful different birds. I'm going to try and move forward a little bit more. Hold on. See if we can see that big male kudu again. scanning to see if there's anything else close to the water. They possibly went down to drink earlier. Hold on, where is he? There, I think I see him, everyone. Let me just try to get into a better position. Oh, it's quite thick here. There he is. There he is. That's a nice view. Can you see him there, Dave? There we go. Look at him. He's actually thrashing his horns around the trees, scratching. He's scratching himself. Do you see that? He's got those branches around his horns, and he's just scratching his head a little bit there. It's quite interesting. But he's beautiful, isn't he? Lovely. Beautiful big male, and those big spiral horns. So it makes it very easy to identify the kudu. It's the only antelope that's got those long spiral horns. If you think of a corkscrew, they look almost like that, don't they? And there the little impala again. Isn't that nice? Nice to see them. Some different antelope. Well, let's carry on and see what else we can find. Actually, just here's another example of a big termite mound. Do you see that right next to me? That's a beautiful big termite mound. Now, that one doesn't look like it's being used at the moment. It doesn't look very fresh. Sometimes you can see that the soil is probably a bit wet. This one looks like it's been baked and is quite hard. And also those broken holes. The termites don't really allow their termite mound to get broken down. They always build it and fix it again. And they use the soil that they basically dig up from underneath the ground. They'll dig the soil up and they use that to build the mound. And that's quite big. That's a lovely big one. Just to show you a bare termite mound compared to that other one that we saw earlier. Dave, there's a bird there. Do you think we can try and get it? Hold on, there's a bird flying, everyone. Is it flying away? Looks like an eagle, maybe. Wait, where is he? It is an African harrier hawk. Wait, let's see where he goes. Hold on, hold on. Is he coming back? I think he's flying off. That was called an African harrier hawk. He's just flown off, flown away. Oh, there he is again. It's just to the right of the tree, but he's flying further and further away from us, unfortunately. Just a quick little view. But you see, so it just shows you the different birds that we see around here. Not just the small ones, but some eagles too. Now that was a big hawk, a beautiful bird called an African harrier hawk. Now we've found some antelope, but Jamie has found the tallest animal that we get out here.
Absolutely, far and away the tallest animal. The only thing that comes close to being as tall as a giraffe is an elephant. And we have found not just one giraffe, but actually an entire group of them, all poking their heads out and watching us very, very carefully. There we go. We got asked a question about whether or not we get big animals. Well, a giraffe is pretty much one of the biggest as well, and we don't always get to see them, so you're actually really very, very lucky. And what might happen, you might get even luckier, because there are actually two babies hiding behind that tree, and I'm hoping that they'll come out. But we'll wait a little bit. We'll stay and we'll keep an eye on the other giraffe while we wait. They're hiding from us now, but maybe if we sit nice and quietly and just wait for them to feel more comfortable, maybe they will come out from behind the trees. Now, how exciting is this? Oh, does anybody know what you call a group of giraffe? Do you know what you call a group of giraffe? Because you call a group of lions a pride, and you call a group of antelope a herd. But do you know what the actual collective noun is for a group of giraffe? It's a very different one. It's quite a unique one, and I think quite a beautiful collective noun. And that's what we've got here, a group of giraffe. I'm trying to double check and see which giraffe is on the left there, if it was a male or a female. I think it might actually be a young male. And it's quite difficult to tell when a giraffe are young, but one of the first things you do is look at the top on its ossicones, and whoops, no, I think I might be mistaken. I think it is in fact a female, because she looks as though she's got tufts of hair on the top of her head. Look at her beautiful eyelashes, and look as well at the birds that are sitting on her neck. Now, those birds are called oxpeckers, and we almost always see them sitting on giraffe. They're helping to keep her clean. Now, Jordan, you want to know, why do giraffe have such long necks? Well, originally, scientists thought that giraffe had long necks so that they could reach high up to the tops of the trees, higher than all of the, or most of the other animals that eat leaves, and therefore that would give them an advantage because they can stretch right up and get the fresh green leaves at the top. But now scientists are also thinking that it might have evolved as a weapon of sorts. Now, I don't know if you've ever seen what it looks like when two male giraffe fight, but the way that they fight is they swing their heads round and they hit each other on the sides or on the legs or on the neck. And because their neck is so long, it's like swinging a stone round on a piece of string. The longer the string is, the harder you can swing that stone. And the same applies to giraffe. So the longer their necks are, the harder they can hit with their heads. And that's one of the reasons why scientists think that giraffe might have evolved to have such long necks. And there's a couple of different potential reasons. It seems as though the babies don't want to come out from behind the tree, doesn't it? That's actually a very young giraffe there, believe it or not. That one's only probably, I would say, around about 10 or so months old. So that's quite a young giraffe. But they grow so very quickly. And they get such long necks so quickly. Standing there chewing, watching us. Oh, that bird got a head shake because it was climbing into its ear. Shall we try and move around and see whether or not we can see the babies? I think we should. They're not new babies. They're a couple of months old, but I think you'd all like to see that. And there's something special about a little baby giraffe because their necks are not nearly as long as the adults, so they look very disproportionate. Now, a giraffe is one of my mom's favorite animals. My mom loves giraffe. She thinks they're the best. She loves their beautiful eyes and their long eyelashes. Okay, slowly, so they don't get scared. Hello, giraffe. Here we go. Look, there you can see. They're the two babies. There's one. And there's number two. Now, Haley, you wanted to know why they were hiding behind the tree. I think, honestly, Haley, I think it was just where I parked and where they ended up. So they are young, so they're going to make extra specially careful that we're not something dangerous because they probably haven't had much time to get to know that a safari vehicle isn't dangerous. So because they're young, they might be a bit more scared than their parents, and so they might have decided to just stay out of view for a little while. But look, you can see now that we've moved, they are perfectly happy. They're still watching us, and that's what giraffe do very well. If there was a staring competition in the bush, giraffe would win. Giraffe are really very, very good at staring at you. And that's one of the ways that they intimidate predators, because it's basically like them saying, look, we've seen you. Don't even bother trying to catch us because we've seen you. Oh, did you see that? Look, she's winking at you. Saying hello. This is awesome. So have you got any answers yet about what you call a group of giraffe? I think I'm going to let you think about it for a little bit longer. And while you do, let's go across to James, but don't be too scared.
Everybody, I've just been on a journey, and that's a clue, of course, for what Jamie's just asked you. And I've come to my favourite little spot here called the tent. And outside the tent, there are a lot of flowers, and in those flowers, look what we've got. We've got a spider. Now, while you're looking at that spider, I'll just quickly tell you that my name's James, and I know that I haven't seen you for this whole lesson, but I'm here now. And this spider is eating something very disgusting. It's called a stink bug. And it's called a stink bug because it stinks. It's got a special pouch between its first and second legs, and that special pouch makes a smell that is so disgusting that you wouldn't be able to cope. If you smelled it, you'd run away. But the spider doesn't mind because it doesn't smell like we do. And so what it's doing is it's eating the stink bug. Now, it caught the stink bug, and then it wrapped it in silk. Well, first it bit it, and then it wrapped it up in silk, and then it went away, and it sat away from the table for some time, and then it came back like it's doing now. And what happened in that time is that the spider's saliva, you know what saliva is, the spider's saliva, which contains all the poisons, all the venom, it actually liquefied the insides of the stink bug. So the stink bug went, it's got organs just like you've got a heart and lungs and that sort of thing. Well, it doesn't have quite the same, but it has got some. But after the spider bit it, all of those organs turned to juice, and now the spider's come back and it's drinking the juiced insides of this disgusting stink bug. Isn't that beautiful? I think it's just amazing. And if you look around where I'm pointing, here is the web, and it's an unusual web because it's what we call horizontal. So it's not sitting upwards like you might think it would, it's sitting sideways. Isn't that amazing? So the stink bug, poor stink bug, I quite like stink bugs because they're interesting, but it would have been crawling around here on this flower, and then it would have fallen off, and it came down, and then it landed, and it thought, oh, thank goodness, I didn't fall on the floor, I landed on a comfortable net. And then it realized that it couldn't move. It realized that the net was sticky because the spider's web is sticky, and then suddenly the spider grabbed it and bit it and wrapped it in silk, and now it's not any longer. But, you know, everything out here has to eat, so although it's a sad story for the stink bug, it's a very happy story if you happen to be the spider, because the spider needs to eat in the same way that you and I need to eat, and that is just what happens out here. Sometimes you get eaten, sometimes you eat. And as a friend of mine once said, well, that's how life goes. Sometimes you win, and sometimes you lose. That's what happens. Good. Now, we don't have much time left, I don't think. So why don't you come inside here with me, and I'll quickly show you my tent. This is my tent, and the next time you come on safari with us, I'll tell you a little bit about all these skulls and bones and interesting bits and pieces that we have over here. I hope you have a wonderful day at school. Behave yourselves, but not too much. We're going to hand the rest of you over now to Byron.
Well, the schools have just left us, as James said goodbye to them, but the drive continues. Now, we unfortunately have had no luck finding anything just yet, or anything more. We found those beautiful kudu and impala earlier, but I am looking for leopard, with it being World Leopard Day, but nothing just yet. Nothing just yet. It's still early and it's still very warm, so I don't think these predators will be moving around too much now, to be honest. That's my theory. So I'm going to be checking trees carefully, and we'll see where else we can look. It's just interesting. Look how the elephant have dug this entire area. Look at this. I'm just going to jump out and show you because it's quite deep. So look at that. And there's some actually quite fresh elephant tracks. It's still very wet here. They've dug up this entire area, but look how deep it is. I'm not going to stand there. I might just get stuck. But it's incredibly deep. It's at least over a meter deep that they've dug up, and they've been splashing. And this is actually quite recent. It's still very moist. It's been a hot day today. You can see the water over there. So this was possibly from earlier today. An elephant, maybe one or two. Looks like they're 2 different or 3 different track sizes. They've come and splashed themselves with mud and then moved off again. But this is quite fresh. I wonder where they have gone. Try see if we can find them. Now the elephant, we know, can cover huge distances quite quickly. Especially when they're looking for food, they'll constantly move through an area. They won't hang around for too long. I'll search for elephant. Let's head to Jamie and her journey of giraffe.
Here's our journey of giraffe indeed. And aren't they beautiful in this open area? All staring off to the distance. I wonder what has attracted their attention over there. What do you see, girl? Last time I ignored a giraffe looking at something, it turned out to be Tingana, who popped out about 10 minutes after I'd been in that area. So, you know, it does make me concerned when I see giraffes staring off into the distance. But they all seem to be staring in different directions and not necessarily in one thing. So it's probably just an antelope that's attracted her attention and nothing else predatory. I was hoping if I gave them a little bit of space and I moved towards Buffalo Pan itself, I was hoping that they might decide to come and have a drink. But that doesn't seem to be the case. They seem to have stopped for an afternoon snack instead. Such a lovely difference in size between the adults and the little ones. Nice to see giraffe. We actually haven't had that many opportunities to see them recently. I was secretly hoping, or not so secretly hoping, that on this World Leopard Day, perhaps Vutomi might be here. But a journey of giraffe is spotted, so that will do for now. And we'll just have to continue our search as we go along. Now don't forget, just quickly, that you can send through your hashtag you can send through your questions or your hashtag, I suppose, but questions would be better on hashtag Safari Live on Twitter. Look at you, little one, having to put up with oxpeckers from a young age. Alice, because the paranoia has set in, can I still hear you? Oh, marvelous. Oh, Graham, you want to know if all animals will be attracted to a salt lick or if it is just certain types of antelope. I've actually personally never seen a predator. What is she staring at? I wonder if we shouldn't go back and double check. I've never seen a predator go and lick a salt lick, although I have seen them eat sand before. I have seen them practice geophagy, which basically does do a similar thing. It's a way of getting minerals. But I have seen all other general game species, zebra, giraffe, nyala, all the antelope, buffalo. I've seen them all go and lick a salt lick. I want to go and see what's attracted their attention. Could be an antelope, could be a predator, could even be a bird. But while I do that, Byron has got the latter with him.
I do indeed, Jamie, and a beautiful bird which we don't often get to see. We hear it calling constantly, but sometimes it's hard to see it. Now, just listen to the call before I tell you what it is. Beautiful melodious call, and it is James's favorite bird, the white-browed scrub robin. You can see that very prominent white supercilium. That is the white brow above the eyebrow, or above the eye rather. It's called a supercilium. Let's see if James is impressed with me for remembering that word. And it's a lovely view. I don't think I've had a... I don't think I've ever seen one so relaxed and out in the open. Apparently the girls said they heard a noise from the tent. Sounds like James was impressed. the grumbles from the tent. But beautiful colors. You see there's that rufous brown on the back, some streaking down the front. But this is typical behavior of a white-browed scrub, and I mean the calling. They're constantly calling. You hear these melodious calls throughout the bush regularly, and they've got different pitches and tones, but it is generally, if you hear a bird chirping away like this, chances are it is a white-browed scrub robin. Light on it too. Oh, that's very, very nice. That's so lovely. It's nice when you just see a bird that's happy to sit and perch for you. That would be a lovely photograph too of that white-browed scrub robin. Beautiful light on it now. Non-stop, has not stopped calling. R. Laura Moore, you say it looks just like a, did you say a Disney bird? Oh, okay. Oh, Laura Moore, I'm not, which Disney bird exactly? Or just a Disney bird? Like, what does that, was it Cinderella? Oh, Cinderella, Snow White. Snow White, didn't Snow White have the little birds following her around when she walked? I mean, those are all my favorite movies. Snow White, Cinderella, Sleeping Beauty. Lisa, very possibly. You asked if the nest is in the bush there somewhere. Yes, if it does have a nest, I'm not sure if it does, but if it does have a nest, they do nest up in little bushes or thickets like this. So very possibly. I can't see any sign of a nest at the moment, Lisa, so I'm not sure. But so nice to see this little bird. We're going to move on from here though and see what else we can find. But let's head over to the man who loves this bird the most.
You love that boast, the bird the most, not boast, the most bird. Hello everybody.
Oh dear. Oh dear. I'm sorry, James doesn't seem like he'd like to speak to anyone today. No, I think there's a lot of and oh well. Let us continue then. Looks like it's just me out this afternoon. Jamie's gone AWOL. James has switched something off in the tent on purpose. So you stuck with me, everyone. I do apologize for that. We will take it up with the powers that be at a later stage. I must be honest, I've had such a lovely day. It's been a great day. It started off really well. James found the line this morning, and
Your comms, don't come to me unless you get a thumbs up from me. Oh, sorry about that, everybody. It seems as though the gremlins have taken hold. You got a beautiful view of the sun and a view of me saying, don't come to me because I can't hear you unless you get a thumbs up. We might have heard that as I was chatting to Alice, because the gremlins are attacking all around. I can't hear Alice trying to talk to me, and I think Byron's struggling for signal. Gowrie Tower is down. I was trying to get to Chitwa Dam, but it might be a little bit tricky. We've still got some filming that we need to do there, and we got to do it the right sort of light, you see, which makes things complicated. Is that a snake or a piece of bark? Hold on. That's definitely a piece of bark. That was wishful thinking on my part, I think. Because so far, I haven't seen an animal on Cheetah Plains except for some impala. Oh, well, the good news is that James has found or managed to repair the problem in the tent. Let's go back to him.
Sorry about that, everybody. I am still in my ditch, and we have managed to find a very pretty little grasshopper in some very pretty light. Now, Byron is, of course, correct. The white-browed scrub robin is my favourite bird. The grasshopper has now absconded, naturally. It jumped. I suppose that's what they do. But what I did find particularly amusing, there it is, about Byron's last segment, of course, is his confession that Snow White, Sleeping Beauty, etc. are his favourite films. I think that's very funny. I had a hard chuckle in my ditch.
Okay.
You see him there? The voice you can hear in the background very softly is Sebastian. He is on camera today in the tent with me. We were supposed to be walking with Rex on. Unfortunately, that has not been possible on account of the fact that the Gowrie repeater is down. Now, that is a beautiful grasshopper. And really, I have found in the last little while that watching insects at this time of the year has been superb, because it's just a little bit colder than it has been, and that means that they're just not moving at quite the speed that they were, and they're not running away in the same way that they were. Anyway, he's going to sit there, and maybe he'll find himself some grass to eat. Maybe he'll just while away a very pleasant afternoon there, watching the sun go down to his right-hand side. Anyway, I don't know any more about that grasshopper. Of course, there are so many species of them that it's difficult to say what he was. Right, I'm going to go back into the tent. Sebastian is going to go the other way around into the tent, because, of course, the tent has a number of shall we say, tripwires that have been located around the place in order to confuse us and make us fall over the place. Right, we're back in the tent, and I want to introduce you to my new friend. Now, I introduced you to Connor the other day. This is Connor.
Oh.
Unfortunately, Connor now has no head or arm. How very distressing. Right, well, Connor will have to be rebuilt. In the meantime, I thought I'd introduce you to Byron. Here is Byron. And Byron is a superb individual, as you can see there. And the point of having Byron in the tent like this is so that we can compare the human physiology and anatomy with that of the animals that we see out here. So I think he's quite fun. And I did tell you this last time when I first introduced you to Connor, who's now in pieces, and of course to, I'm not sure we gave the tiger a name, did we? Did we give the tiger a name? I'm not sure we gave the tiger a name. Oh, I think we better name the tiger now. In fact, given the complete absence of any large game in the field, why don't you tell us the name for the tiger? Hashtag Safari Live, you can give us the name of the tiger. Anyway, the point of having them here is not because they look nice, because they don't look very nice at all. They're actually just quite interesting from a comparative point of view. And so if you have any questions about the comparative anatomy of a cat, this works very well for lion or leopard, a human being's bone structure, or a human being's muscular structure. We could perhaps compare that with Byron in the field. In fact, we should get Byron to strike that pose. He's about that size. Well, sort of from there up, I suppose. Good. Okay. Well, that's Byron, and we'll have a look at him a little bit later. Otherwise, I'm still looking for things to show you under the microscope and identify. And I think what we're going to do this afternoon, for the remainder of the afternoon, is focus on the spiders and see if we can't get slightly closer to identifying them more neatly. Now, we did show you this spider the other day. He was living in there, and she's now disappeared. And that, of course, is slightly distressing. I'm not sure where she's gone. And the other thing we showed you in the tent yesterday or 2 days ago was how nature is taking over. And here is another example of that. Can you see that one there, Seb?
Yeah.
That is a kokolochi, or a cockroach. The cockroaches, of course, will be the last to go, along with the rats, when eventually our politicians decide that they're going to kill us. Anyway, they will survive, and I just really love this because it shows how nature refuses to be excluded from life, which is just fantastic. So eventually this tent will just disappear, become a home. Now, I believe we have some names, some wonderful names for our tiger. Yes? We have some names for our tiger. No, we don't have any names. There's the tiger. Oh, well, that's sad. We were going to get some names for the tiger. Apparently some of you have sent some through, but I'm not sure what's going on in the final control. Obviously there's a small issue. Good. I think we should go back outside. That's also got an issue. Things really are in a state this afternoon. Absolute state. I'm getting some communication from the final control, but not much.
Not much.
Yes, I've got comms now. Yes? When did you lose us?
Are we live?
Oh, we're still live. Oh, goodness. Well, that's lucky. I thought you'd lost us. I thought, for a second there, I nearly said a bad word because I couldn't believe the gremlins could get any worse. Anyway, we've had a suggestion. I think it's an excellent suggestion. We're going to go with it straight away. Taylor, the tiger. Byron, the muscular chap. And, of course, Connor, the skeleton. I think that's fantastic. Good. Perfect. That'll do us for now. All right. What we have here is a lovely piece of grass. I know that grass isn't the favourite of all of you, and in fact some were making mention of the lack of cats recently, and I know we had a real cat bonanza leading up to the sort of wet season, but it is to be expected that this time of the year will be slightly quieter on the cat front. This is an Aristida species, probably Aristida junciformis, or I forget exactly which three-horn it is, but it's one of the three-horn species. Very little will eat it, which is why it will be one of the last remaining things that we have out here before everything sort of gets squashed down during the dry season. And this one has got a tiny little insect living on it. You see it there, Seb?
Yeah.
So have a look at it there, and then what we will do is take it into the tent and have a look at it under the microscope, because it is alive. And we like to look at living things under the microscope. All right, Seb, shall we go inside and have a look? Let's go and have a look. Alice, do you want to look at this under the microscope first, or go to Jamie? All right, let's head back across to Jamie. She's got something which might disappear.
Asked for a link. Hey, look at this. We've got a collection of pigs at the Cheetah Plains pan. Oh, what I was saying earlier about Cheetah Plains being relatively devoid of life, and I'm sorry, I didn't quite hear what James said when he sent you across here, but we do have an abundance of life, or at least we've got two different species wandering about the open area of Cheetah Plains. I think this is the family of piglets. Well, we'll get back to that in a sec. Sorry, I'm just... Sorry, Craig, that was entirely my bad. There is a wildebeest there as well. No, that was entirely my fault. I didn't finish one thought before going on to the next one. I think this is the same family of piglets that we've been seeing over the past few months as they've grown up. And they were so very tiny. I just have this very vivid memory of Byron talking about them, and the fact that he could no longer see them, and he was turning, looking, talking to camera, and the piglets were all dashing past behind him, and he had absolutely no idea. And I'd seen them a couple of days or a couple of weeks earlier, when the grass was so long that they were basically invisible. And it's astounding, the speed with which they grow. Still young enough that their tusks haven't actually, or aren't fully showing yet. They're probably growing underneath the surface of their jaws, all their skin under their jaws. But they've got those little tufts of fur sticking out on the side to imitate tusks on either side of their faces. There's mum number 1 and mum number 2. And quite often when you see warthogs with litters of piglets, they actually are in pairs. And a lot of the time that's a mother and a daughter, a mother and her grown-up daughter, and they stick together. And just that advantage of numbers helps tremendously. Being in a sounder is much safer than doing things all on your own. And a sound is another fantastic collective noun, along with journey of giraffe. I think they're quite enjoying the fresh stuff that will probably be growing along the edge of this waterhole, just because the soil's still a little bit damp, which means it's a good place to go foraging if you're a warthog. Very atmospheric. Don't forget to send through your questions or your comments on #SafariLive on Twitter. This is definitely the warmest day that we've had in a while, and you can see these warthogs have been enjoying themselves, wallowing about in the mud and in the water. Marks of where they've been damp, where they are damp. Cute. Well, managing to raise 5 piglets to this size, definitely on a leopard's menu. Stephen, you want to know how sharp their tusks are. Stephen, we have a look at the biggest female, who is over there. The top tusks are not sharp at all, and the top tusks are actually not the ones that you really need to be concerned about. Have a look underneath those tusks at the tushes below, those bottom set of tusks, and you'll get an idea as to just how sharp they are. And in a big sow like this one, you can see they are formidable. The way that they slide up and down as she moves her jaw, the way that they slide up against the top set of tusks, keeps them very, very sharp indeed. And it actually makes a warthog a formidable creature to hunt. An adult warthog can easily weigh 50 kilograms, often even more than that in the cases of the big males. And they will fight fiercely, not just for their own lives, but sows will fight to protect their piglets if they can. And those tushes, those very, very sharp tushes, will cause or can cause significant injury. It's one of the reasons why warthogs, I suppose it goes without saying, but one of the reasons why warthogs back hind quarters first into their tunnels that they sleep in at night. They sleep in termite mound tunnels or burrows, and they go in there with their heads facing outwards. One of the big reasons why you've got to be so careful on foot if you're going to go wandering around outside of a termite mound with a big hole in it, you've got to just be aware that there is a warthog, or there could be a warthog there, and the ability of the warthog to exit its tunnel at high speed, the velocity is truly astounding. It is roughly equivalent to a bullet leaving the barrel of a gun, or at least that's the way it seems if you're ever on the receiving end. They shoot out of there so fast, and they've been responsible for more than my fair share of near heart attacks while I've been on foot. And a warthog exploding out of a tunnel, accompanying it is a loud noise of a squeal and a cloud of dust, and you're quite convinced by that point that you are going to be flattened or eaten by something. And you've got to be careful, because that actually can cause really serious injury. You want to know if warthogs will disperse from their groups, and if so, at what age? Yes, they definitely do disperse from their groups. Sometimes, as I said, you get an adult female that will actually stay with her mother. We'll get the two species getting closer and closer. You get an adult female that will stick around with mum and actually go on to breed with her. But around about a year old, the piglets will start to leave mum. I think you'll probably find that the males will be the first to go, and they're going to have that natural independent spirit. And she's got, let's see, that's one little male on the left. And looks like another one on the right there. I can't tell what the one at the back is. I think it might also be a little male. That's definitely a boy on the left. Thank you for that. Convenient timing. The way that I can tell whether they're males or females, apart from the one that's given us a perfect view, and a relatively obvious one at that, is to look at the warts on their faces. And even at this young age, you can actually see that this one has got two sets. One at the top and one at the bottom. One near the eyes, one near the snout. And in females, they will only have two of those. And it's clear, even in young warthogs. Looks like a little female. Yep, little female on the right. So what's that? Two males, one female that we definitely know, and two that we're not quite sure about. What are you? You a boy or a girl? Snuffling looks like a little boy. Oh, heavy on the boys in this group. Poor mum. I'm really sorry, I have absolutely no idea what name Alice was trying to give me to the question, but I did get the question coming through. Nope, still not, sorry. Oh, Eclair. Eclair, you want to know... Eclair, you want to know what the average size is for a warthog litter. How many... Thanks, Alice. You want to know how many litters, or how many piglets they will have per litter? The answer to that is around about 3 on average. It can be anything from 1 to, I think it's up to 4. Might be more. Now I'm not certain what the maximum number of piglets a warthog can have is. I think the maximum is 4, but I could be mistaken. It could be more than that, but for some reason I think 4 is the thing that comes into my head. So you're looking at an average of about 3, but usually whenever we see 2 females together, there'll usually be about 6 piglets between them. Now I'm trying desperately to remember, can they have more? Just double check with James as well. I can't remember if warthogs can have more than 4 piglets. Oh, that poor wildebeest was being bothered by flies. I could see his irritation there out of the corner of my eye. kicking and flicking his tail. Wildebeest, I feel, have some of the prettiest tails of any animals. I don't know why, but they look far less ridiculous the longer you stare at them. I mean, a giraffe's tail looks quite silly, and so does an elephant's if you stare at it for too long. But a wildebeest's tail looks long and lush, and shame he's being bothered by biting flies. I don't want any of them to come and attach themselves to our skins, so we're going to continue on before they realize that we're here. Let's, while we do that, send you back over to Byron.
Hello again, everyone, and we haven't had too much luck just yet, but what we've decided is we're quickly going to check the hyena den. Not too sure, it might be a bit too early to see any activity, but we never know. Let's just try and have a look and see if there is anything there. Maybe we get lucky, and we're not far, we're just around the corner. Feels almost like a lazy day. Hey, David, I don't know, very relaxing. I think because it's so beautiful today, beautiful weather. We are going to just check this hyena den quickly. Let's see. Stay with us, because you never know. Let's just check. We're right here, so let's have a look. Which way? Let me go this way around for a change. Come on, little ones, are you here? Or an adult or two? We haven't been very lucky here the last few days. Now, I'm not sure if they've moved the den site or if it's because those youngsters are at an age where they're starting to move around a bit more. No, I don't see any activity just yet. Let's look around the other side quickly. No sign at the moment of any of them, but maybe we'll try again later. You see that? Yeah, no activity. Not sure where they are, but perhaps the adults return a little bit later. Maybe we'll see something around here. But I wonder if excuse me, sorry, there's something in my throat. And James, there's something under the microscope. That's good to hear. I thought maybe he'd fallen asleep in the tent.
I have not fallen asleep in the tent. I've got something under the microscope, and you're going to see it now. There it is. It is that little bug that we found on the 3-horn, and if you watch it carefully, what it seems to be doing now is cleaning its proboscis, and we've been sitting watching it for, I don't know, the last 10 minutes or so. There we go. Look how it seems to be sawing. And you see that? It seems to be cutting with its very sharp little proboscis into the stalk of the grass. It's holding it with its front left foot and then sawing away with the proboscis. And what it's getting from this practice, I cannot tell you. That's the proboscis bending there. It's a little bit like a wood saw. I don't know if you've ever used a wood saw. And you kind of get it stuck as you're chopping. And it bends like that. How cool is this? This is the most fantastic sighting. And you can see the little detail on the claws of his front feet. You can see his antenna, obviously, and you can see that proboscis working frantically. Now, what he could be deriving, I suppose there must be some sort of moisture inside the seeds. Maybe he's not actually cutting what's on the side there. Maybe he's drilling down into the seed bed or into the middle of one of the seeds here. I just think this is astounding. And then we can focus onto his eyes if you want. There are the eyes. Sebastian is sitting here absolutely mesmerized by this. I mean, it is amazing. Oh, so while you look at him, now, he's obviously eating. We found something that we think is quite close to what he looks to, what he's called. And it has, even if it isn't what he's called, the name is so pricelessly wonderful that I'm going to say it regardless of whether this is him or not. I just need to find him while you watch him sawing away. The identifying markers are the very sort of thick front legs. You can see those there. And then he's supposed to have a slightly longer set of antennae than he's got. But there are a number of different species in the area, so maybe some of them have just got shorter antennae. Naturally, I can't find him. Oh, there he is. He is called Pachygrontha quadripunctata. That's a Pachygrontha quadripunctata, which I think is a wonderful name. I'd quite like to be known as Pachygrontha quadripunctata. It would be a good name to have, a bit like being called Skillington McFarquhar, which of course would be a fantastic name. And Laura, you reckon maybe this thing's just got an itchy proboscis? I don't think so. Let's just focus in on the proboscis again. You can see it bending there. He's going to break it if he's not careful. I would love to be able to have something small enough that I could move aside, you know, the stuff that he's trying to get past so we could see what he's drilling into, but I just don't know what that is. And those claws on the front parts of his leg there are the femora. They're called the femora, and those claws will be used to defend himself. But clearly he's not going to use them for hunting, because obviously he is some kind of sapsucker. In fact, let's just have a quick look here. Oval bugs, classic bug stink. Oh, they can make a classic bug stink. That's very distressing. I hope he doesn't stink us out here. They chiefly feed on seeds. A few species feed on other insects. This one obviously is a seed eater. 400 known species from this family, so I'm pretty sure he must be one of those 400. Pachygrontha quadripunctata, also known as Jeremy Skillington McFarquhar. Right, I think we should leave him to his machinations and see what else we can find. I think we'll put him outside. And look how tiny he is. He's so very small. Isn't that cool? SRQ, you want to know if I can tell if it's male or female. Unfortunately, the microscope does not extend to seeing whether it has facial hair growth or not, which that would be the way to tell. The males have got sort of light bearding, and the females do not. I'm talking absolute rubbish. I'm afraid I have absolutely no idea how to tell if they were male or female. I think in the bugs, they are pretty much the same. I don't know that they are, what do we call it again, sexually dimorphic. I think they're probably sexually monomorphic, so it'd be quite difficult to tell whether it was male or female. Beautiful, marvellous creature. Right, we'll put him down there gently, and then the next time we go outside, I'll put him outside. And then, Ali, you want to know if he's similar to a grasshopper, and he's not similar to a grasshopper. The grasshoppers are a different order entirely. They come from the order Orthoptera, and he comes from the order Hemiptera. Now, I don't know how much you know about taxonomy, but basically, you have the animal kingdom, and then you have a phylum, which is a sort of smaller grouping, and then you go eventually down to class, and he's an arthropod, and then you go eventually down to order. So you'll go order, and then family, and then genus, and then species, and that will tell you exactly what he is. But the order, which is quite a sort of broad grouping, is the Hemiptera for him. So he's a bug. So when I'm using the term bug, I don't mean it in the sort of slang way that we all use it to sort of designate any kind of creepy crawly. A bug is a specific order of insects, as are the grasshoppers, the Orthoptera, or the beetles, the Coleoptera, all the moths and butterflies, which are the Lepidoptera. And so those are orders, all of which will have a number of different families underneath them, all of which will have lots of genera under those, and all of which will have lots of species. And so if I haven't explained that properly to you, the next time you come back to us, I'll draw it for you. I just can't do that at the moment because we can't move the camera because, well, a gremlin has got into the wire. Yes, so we will be replacing the wire shortly. Yes, good. And then we're just going to quickly bring this out here. And I've been asked this a few times, and I'm not sure that I have it. Oh, I do know what insect is my favorite, actually. But there's an ant here. This is old Polyrhacus. Let's see if she'll get onto the grass stalk. I don't know how she ended up in here. Anyway, Seb spotted her. And then when I told him that she was edible, he looked quite excited, but I stopped him from eating him. Anyway, my favorite insect is the cicada. The cicada beetle is my favorite because its sound reminds me of hot, lazy summer days, and those are just the best kind of days, really, I think. Right, there we are. Let's try and put Polyrhacus outside, and then we are going to change the cable on our camera so that we can move about a bit. Good. Okay, well, I guess you could just stay with us then. Let's go outside and put him outside. This is where he was. Look, his home has been invaded by an orthopterid. So remember you asked me if he was some kind of grasshopper. Well, I'm just not sure if the cable's going to stand this, but it might. There is a beautiful grasshopper, and you can see from the structure.
Mordor. Oh dear. Oh no, James, are you switching off buttons again in the tent? I'm glad you have found some ants. Oh, an impala. An impala. That's great because we've seen absolutely nothing else. So it's good to see an impala. Dave, did you think I'd found a leopard? Well, you've got to be excited about the impala too. Hey, come on. So, well, everyone, we're losing our minds a little bit out here. It's been a bit quiet. But we have days like this, you know that. So it's not the end of the world. Things will happen for us, especially, I think, as it starts cooling down. As I say, it's too soon to panic. We'll try our luck and see what happens. What else? Let me see if there are any... So James was talking about a cicada being his favorite insect because it reminds him of a summer's day. Okay, James, I feel like something has bitten me, my finger. I'm trying to think of my favorite insect. Favorite insect. What's my favorite insect? Sure, I'm stumped. I wonder. I love butterflies. I must be honest, I do really enjoy butterflies. All the different colors, the different roles that each one plays within nature. They all prefer specific types of plants, and I just find them fascinating. So I do think my favorite would be a butterfly. What else? I'm trying to think. Do you have a favorite insect, Dave? Praying mantis. Ah, yeah, pretty cool. Nice. It's my attempt at a praying mantis. You think I got it, Dave? I think so. Not quite. Not quite. But yeah, there's so many interesting insects. So many. Termites. Termites are pretty cool. I like termites. That's because they're also so fascinating. Now, I'm driving slowly and I'm searching high and low for any activity. I'm hoping to spot a leopard in a tree or on top of a termite mound or anywhere for that matter. Sure. Alright, well, we're really not having too much luck at the moment, which is okay. But let's go across. Luckily, there are a few of us out here. Let's go and see if Jamie's had any luck.
Byron, what's wrong with us? Byron, why aren't we able to find leopards on International Leopard Day? I feel as though we've let the side down tremendously. I just had a thought. Hold on 1 second. Something that I saw but didn't quite register. I just want to go back and look at. So we're in the heart of Cheetah Plains, and it is very, very quiet here, to say the least. Oh, sorry. Shower Craig with some sticks, just to emphasize the lack of things I've given him to film, just to make his afternoon that little bit harder. Sorry, Craig. There's not much turning space on this road. I just want to go back and check why. What is going on here? We're speaking of clues, which is of course always a winner with the kids on their school drive. Why is there all of this white stuff in the road? Can we have a look at is it just a piece of millipede? Hold on, I'm getting out. Bear with me a second. It's always a risky business because as soon as I unplug my comms, they disappear. Oh, it is bird droppings. Why are they all here? All the way back along here. Okay. Question asked, question answered. Interesting, though. Seems as though a guinea fowl party came running along this road, depositing all of their feces at exactly the same time. Which is kind of weird. Maybe they were roosting here. Seems like an odd place for a guinea fowl flock to roost. There we go, there's the answer. Seems like such an odd place for a guinea fowl flock to come and roost. Usually they go into places like jackalberry trees or nice big leadwoods or something like that. Something a bit more comfortable than bush willows. But they've all deposited their excrement in the middle of the road. Maybe they just came wandering down here and had a bit of a rest in the shade that they provided. I guess that's a possibility as well. Mystery. One of those random little things in the bush. I think I'm going to try turn around here, where it's slightly more open. So for my next trick, I'll go and search Djuma Dam. That's what we're going to go and do. All of the other water holes, apart from the ones with the warthogs, have been completely devoid of life. Even the birds have been hiding from me on Cheetah Plains, and Cheetah Plains is usually quite spectacular for bird life. Julie, you want to know what is my favorite animal to track? The most satisfying I find to track, is probably a leopard, just because of the challenge that it entails. So when you get it right, it feels really very good. My favorite animal to track, though, is rhino. Honestly, hands down. Maybe it's because I've spent more time tracking them than I have anything else. Maybe it's because they're actually quite easy to track, and I enjoy the increased rate of success. That was to try and stop the spiderweb going on the lens, by the way. Just trying to grab it with my hands. I don't think that came across too well. It's the twitch that I've developed in response to the lack of animal life. I really enjoy tracking rhino, and I've had all of my nicest sightings on foot, I would say, have been rhino related. Black rhino especially, they're awesome. They're mad, they're completely bonkers. They do the strangest things for absolutely no reason, but it makes it even more special when you are with them on foot. So I guess that's my favorite animal to track. I think I'd find it hard to choose. No animal is unpleasant to find when you're searching for them, especially on a day like today. I mean, these elephants have been wandering all along this road, but their tracks are going straight south across onto Mala Mala. So the hope that I got when I first saw the elephant tracks has been dashed. And I heard a buffalo walk through here as well, but 2 days ago. Wow. These are all animals with 4 legs leaving footprints in the dirt, but there's...
Hello everybody, sorry about that rather sort of hasty cut. As I say, things have just been a little bit difficult out here. In this grass stalk, we have got a spider. I told you we were going to find spiders. You know why I told you we were going to find spiders, everybody? That's because I knew we would. Because on International Leopard Day, I knew without a doubt that we would probably not find leopards, but I knew that given the number of spiders we've had over the last little while, we'd be able to find spiders. Now, let's put this chap under the microscope because he's so very small, he's impossible to see. Now, this is going to take me a little while to sort out. Do not cue the microscope yet, please, Alice. Oh, there he is. There we go. Let's have a look now. There we go. Seb, just do that again. Would you put your shadow behind there?
Yeah.
There we can see the spider. He's fantastic, or she is. And I think what we've got in there, if I just change the focus a little bit, is 2 spiders, one probably a male and one a female, or maybe a little spiderling that's hatched from an egg. Isn't that cool? I just think that's absolutely astounding. Now that thing is less than 1 millimeter wide long. It is a tiny, tiny, tiny little thing. Look at it. It's still fully alive. It's got little golden hairs on it. Doesn't know what on earth's happening. Suddenly it's got bright again under the light of this microscope. It feels probably a bit like being in a classroom. It's neon light. I just think that is too gorgeous for words. Hey? And let's just try and focus slowly onto the other one. There we go. There we are. And there's the little one. I think that's a male. I don't know why I think it's a male, but I do. Because I don't think it's small enough to be a spiderling. Is it more than one? Let me just try and turn it around slightly. No. Come back to me, Alice. Let me just try and get this slightly better. What I'm going to do is put myself behind it, because then we might get a slightly better exposure on our little spider friend. Oh, he's moving. And there we go, Alice. There we are. Isn't that cool? That's the front end. And what you can see, I didn't find the other one again, but what we have found is the shell, the husk of a fly that she's eaten, and in fact may still be eating. See that black thing obscured by the thick green stalk. Then let's just go down to that yellowish thing at the bottom. There. What is that, do you suppose? No idea. She's now moving. Of course, she's just either at rest or sucking that hapless fly dry. Oh, wow. I mean, this is just the world going on around us, isn't it? All around us, countless millions of these spiders are going about their lives. Thousands of species of them. There she goes. And most of the time we do not even notice them. Her eyes are shining.
Yeah.
Look at that. Hi.
So cool.
Look at her little white hairs. Oh, she's adopted a defensive pose. I think it's a little jumping spider. I think she's a little jumping spider, and she's now preparing to escape because she thinks she knows she's been spotted. But look how her eyes are reflecting the light from the microscope. And often, you know, you can find wolf spiders, for example, on the ground. During a night drive, you'll find them and you'll think you've spotted something quite nice, but actually it's just a wolf spider sitting on the ground. Gosh, that is just too fantastic for words. Of course, all of this whole ecosystem couldn't function without creatures like this. It wouldn't be possible. There'd be an overwhelming number of things like this beastly fly that she's managed to catch. And we must do well. We do well to remember that, because we're now starting to tread really delicately around the tent, because we know that in just about every bush there's a spider's web or something knocking about there that's trying to make a living for itself. There she's moving now. And we do well to remember that when we drive off-road and even when we're walking off-road, you know. I think that is just brilliant. Don't you think that's fantastic? And there she is. She's so tiny. And you can hardly see that. Now, you may have noticed that she was a little bit sort of black and white on her legs. Well, Byron has managed to find something else that is black and white on its legs.
Thank you, Spider-Man. I have indeed. We've found some zebra.
Cool.
Finally, we've found some animals. And a beautiful light on them this afternoon. It's perfect time, and great for photography. This last golden hour, I would say, of light. You probably don't need any filters or anything if you're taking good pictures in this type of light. I'm just going to move forward a little bit and try and get a bit closer to these zebras. Some impala dotted through here too, so there are quite a few animals. See how close we can get. I don't want these zebra to move off, but there seems like a lovely herd. A dazzle of zebra. There's a nice one right here. Look at the tail swishing backwards and forwards. Let me go a little bit forward, get this bush out the way. Hello. Oh, he's very relaxed. That's lovely. A nice big male stallion. See some scars on their legs now. A lot of those scars, it could be from biting. No, not at all. Every zebra stripes are different and unique. It is just like our fingerprints, completely unique and different to each zebra. And what I find fascinating is the young, when they are born, the foals. As soon as they are born, the youngsters are able to, or their mother's pattern is embedded in their memory, and they're able to recognize their mother in a herd very, very easily. Oh, look at that. That's lovely. Wow. Very beautiful. And they're all enjoying this long grass at the moment, ideal for the zebra. Now, they're also bulk feeders. They are not ruminants like some of the other animals we have out here. They are hind gut fermenters. That is the digestive system of a zebra. They are known as hind gut fermenters. So the food is digested, but what often happens with the zebra is a lot of gas builds up in their stomachs and gives them that bloated look. And if the zebra run away, you can actually hear that they're full of gas. That's one of the the funny things about zebra. But they do build up quite a large amount of gas, and they always look very full. And those oxpeckers are bothering that zebra a little bit. But they're so nice to see them, nice and relaxed. That's a lovely shot. Very beautiful. Are the oxpeckers? Anyway, from I think from these beautiful, dazzling zebras, Jamie's got a large animal in the water she'd like to show you.
A pod of hippopotamus that have gathered together in Djuma Dam, confusingly named because it is in fact on Cheetah Plains, and they've actually just shown signs of not quite waking up. It's still a little bit early for them to be heading out on their nightly stroll, but they are yawning not at us, which confused me a little bit, because typically yawning from a hippopotamus is a sign of agitation in some way. But it's not at us. They're not looking at us. They're not in any way concerned about us. I'm not sure what it was. And typically I've found that the hippos at Djuma Dam tend to be slightly shyer than the ones at Chitwa Dam. I don't know why that is. I don't know if it's just that the ones at Chitwa see more vehicles. That one hippo on the left got right up out of the water, not facing us, not looking at us at all, and now has gone back to where it was. It is nice and cool already. They might head out early, but I doubt it. Hippopotamus are nocturnal feeders. You can see closing its ears as it ducks under the surface of the water, making sure that no water runs into its ear canal and gives it a nasty ear infection. It's amazing when they disappear like that. You would never know that they were there until all of a sudden they pop their heads up again. Nice to see the hippo at Djuma Dam. I haven't seen them in a while. It's hard to believe this is the same place where, gosh, when was it? Now I'm trying to work out exactly when it was, but when we were here, we drove right into the middle of this waterhole. It was completely dry, and we were sitting watching the Styx cubs play about right on this exact bank. It's really hard to believe when you see it from months later, filled with water all the way up the drainage line. And yes, this is exactly the same place. We were watching the shame. None of those Styx cubs actually made it, but it was back when they were all 8 of them were still together, and they were running up and down into this drainage line, back in again. And Cheetah Plains definitely received, of the places that we drive, Cheetah Plains definitely received the most rain, which is great for these hippos as we go into our dry season. I would say, I think we're still going to see the water holes dry up. They're certainly not as full as they, or a lot of them aren't as full as they were when I first arrived 2 years ago. But there's a lot more water than there was last year. It's far better. I mentioned that the hippos will be making their way out onto the banks as the evening draws in and going off in search of their dinner. George, no, hippo are not fish eaters at all. They are, in fact, grazers. They only eat grass. Despite their large size and somewhat savage-looking tusks, they definitely aren't fish eaters. Of course, the famous story went that the hippopotamus's skin was so sensitive to the sun that he went to the creator of all things and said, "Please, can I live in the water? The sun is burning my skin." And the crocodile objected and said, "No, but you'll eat all my fish." And the hippopotamus said, "No, I absolutely will not eat all of your fish." And eventually they came to an agreement, thanks to the wise creator of all things, that the hippo would yawn constantly and would scatter its dung with its tail, so that the crocodile could see that there were no fish bones in its mouth and no fish bones in its dung. Make of that what you will. Hippopotamus yawn when they feel agitated or threatened, and they scatter their dung to mark their territory. Either way, it makes for a fantastic story, and one that all safari goers love when they hear it, when they're sitting with hippos having their sundowners. Janet, you want to know, so do hippos never ever eat meat? No, they do. It's very unusual. Bear in mind that almost all herbivores will occasionally supplement their diet by nibbling off carcasses. Duikers, specifically warthogs as well, will also do it. It's quite a grim thing to see, but it does happen, and hippo have been recorded nibbling off dead hippo that have sort of bobbed up in a waterhole, that have died in a waterhole. So they have been recorded eating meat, and that's really not because they are in any way meat eaters. They're not carnivores. It's just a way of supplementing, adding a little bit of additional protein to their diet. It's very rare, but it does happen. So to say that they never touch meat would be not quite true. They are recorded to do it. But they are grazers. They are herbivores. Well, since our hippopotamus are being rather sleepy once again and have come to find a restful spot, I don't think an arachnophobe would survive long in the tent, but fortunately James is not one.
Hello everybody, I just thought I would quickly draw you what I was talking about earlier with the taxonomy of a grasshopper. It's not, I think it's really interesting. I accept that some of you might find it slightly boring, but bear with me. And also, if you bear with me to the end, I will draw you something very special, and you all know that I'm a spectacularly good artist. Good. Okay, so I can't write, you can see that. I'm virtually unable to write in my own hand, other than on a typewriter. I also have completely terrible ability to spell, so I may well misspell most of these things. So I thought we'd look at three animals. We've got grasshopper, leopard, being International Leopard Day, and of course we have a flaky thorn, which is this tree over here. And I thought I would just sort of show you how we as human beings have classified these things. And we've pigeonholed them all very nicely and neatly, and the more we look into their DNA, the more we see that it's not easy to pigeonhole them, and that it's a much more fluid kind of gradation between species. But this is basically how we do it. So if we look at the grasshopper, of course it is in the animal kingdom, right? The leopard is also in the animal kingdom. The flaky thorn, of course, is not. It's in a completely different kingdom. It's in the plants. So we're going to call that a plant. Then the phylum that it belongs to, the grasshopper, belongs to the phylum. Don't forget this, Henry, now. Yes. It's an invertebrate. That means it has no backbone. All right, invertebrate. There we go. The leopard, of course, is a vertebrate. It does have a backbone. Now, there are Latin terms for all of these things, but it's a little bit easier to do it like this. Vertebrate. You see, sorry about this. I don't even think that's how you spell it. And then the phylum for the flaky thorn is not really disclosed. We're not sure exactly, but its class, we'll just write it here. First is angiosperm. Now the point, that means a flowering plant, so I'm just going to put flowers. Now what's cool here is that you can see immediately that although the leopard and the grasshopper belong to the same kingdom, they split very early on into the vertebrates and the invertebrates, so those with a sort of hard exoskeleton and those with an internal skeleton, right? So then we go down to class, and what we found is the grasshopper belongs to the arthropods, and what that means, of course, is that it's jointed. It has a jointed exoskeleton, all right? So now find other invertebrates such as the mollusks, for example. Then we go to the leopard and we find that its class, of course, is the very familiar mammals, right? So it's a mammal. Then we go down to order, and I mentioned this. It was the Orthoptera, The spelling might be completely incorrect. The order of the leopards, Carnivora, the carnivores. carnivore. If you are a school teacher, you might be wondering why I'm so unable to write. Well, I wondered the same thing. Flaky thorn here, the order it belongs to is the, basically, I think it's called the Fabale. Not very interesting. Then we're going to leave out suborders just to show you that there are gradations between the two. Then the family it belongs to, what was the family? Now that's Pacific grasshopper. I don't know what family it belonged to. I don't know what genus it belonged to, and I don't know what species it belonged to because it isn't in the book. So there are just lots and lots of them that are very difficult to tell. The leopard's much easier, of course. The family it belongs to, of course, is the cats. The Felidae. The genus is Panthera. And the species is Pardus. So the leopard's easy because it's very familiar, and there are not many different kinds of leopards, and so that's quite easy. And we'll just go on to the flaky thorn here quickly. The family it belongs to is the Fabaceae, which is, you don't have to remember all this, of course. The genus, of course, is Acacia. In fact, it's not anymore. It used to be. It's now Vaccilia. Vaccilia. And the Acacia exuvialis, yes. The genus is exuvialis. Okay, so that's basically how animals are being classified. And it all started with a chap called Carl Linnaeus, and he started classifying animals basically according to how similarly they looked to each other. This was in the 1700s, and so animals that looked the same, he gave similar sort of classifications to, and it was him that came up with the binomial classification, and that means that means naming species by their genus and their species. We, Homo, genus, sapiens, our species. Good. Now, your reward for listening to that load of drivel. Are you ready? It is, of course, as we know, International Leopard Day. And so I thought that I would draw Shongile, my favorite leopard. There she is. I have never drawn her this big before. I feel quite honored to be drawing her this big. What are you laughing about? Of course, Seb has never seen me draw before, have you, Seb? Is this your first experience of my drawing? You are very lucky indeed.
Very impressed.
She's got quite sharp claws on front and back feet.
Looks like a bear.
It does not look like a bear, it looks like a cat. You may notice the camera is shaking slightly. That is because Seb doesn't think this looks like a leopard. Which of course he's wrong about. It does look like a leopard. And then of course we must do her spot pattern, and I can never remember which side it is. I think she's 3/4 like her mum. And the way I remember of her, of course, is her Cindy Crawford mole that she's got just over there. So, beautiful girl. We'll just give her some claws because she's not to be trifled with. There we go. Beautiful, isn't she? And then, of course, she's kind of got her nice white tip to the tail, bit of stripes here, and then all the spots. No, I'm not going to draw all the spots because that will take until next week, and this is just a sort of artist's impression. Picasso, if you will. A few lines telling the full story. And then, of course, she has got sort of very brown eyes, and you know how we make brown, don't you, Seb? We make green, and then we cover it in red, if I remember correctly. Yes, there we are. I'm exactly correct. That's what I remember from my nursery school art class when I wasn't outside climbing on a tree, which clearly I was doing much more of than my art class. Everybody, there he is. She just needs quickly one last addition. She just needs to have her princess's crown. Shouldn't be more a tiara, but leopards don't wear tiaras, they wear crowns. Shongile. There you are. Thank you so much. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you my favorite leopard on World Leopard Day, Shongile, the leopard. Good. Okay. Right. Let's go back inside, shall we? See if we can find something else to tell you about. what I'm going to do now is have a look into the buffalo skull, because the last time I looked into this buffalo skull, there were some. Before I do that, there was a violin spider that had an egg sac, and I want to know if they have hatched or not. There is another beautiful, and this one I can actually identify. I think it's a Theracles. There's another beautiful grasshopper. Yes, sitting on the hapless figure of Bertie, the buffalo, long dead. Sometime it's been dead, about probably a few years now, since Bertie shook off this mortal coil at the teeth and claws of quite possibly the Nkahuma pride. But we won't dwell on such tragedies. Let us look inside his head and see if we can find a spider. Now, of course, what you don't want to do is empty the spider onto your lap. So we will try desperately to avoid doing that. Yes, certainly quite smelly in there. Alrighty. Let's have a look-see. Turn all the light up. Do a bit of focusing. And what do we have? At the moment, not much. No spiders. Let me do one last sort of squiz inside there. I can show you what we're seeing. It's just not particularly exciting at this stage. I think that the... Oh, there we go. It may have belonged to a spider. Anyway, there's a lot of grass seed in there. You can see that there has been spider activity inside. You can see that, of course, from the cobwebs. But I'm not sure how much activity there is in it now, unfortunately. So maybe those eggs have hatched and gone away. Ooh. What is that? That's very interesting. Okay, well, I'm not sure. We might just have another look in there by the naked eye and see if we can't spot something. But I'm afraid this buffalo skull has let us down. Bertie, I feel your contribution to the world is now ended. We will have to try and find something in another buffalo skull, which I don't have with me right now. Good. Right, shall we check out our stingless bees, perhaps? This is... Next. Yes. I remain horribly disappointed yet again that not one of you has asked a question about Byron. Not one of you has wanted to know anything about him, how he's put together, compared him with Taylor. No, you've just looked at him and kind of left him alone. Anyway, I'm going to investigate what's going on inside this skull rather than embarrass myself live. Let's go across to Byron and you can compare his physique with that of this beautiful creature here.
Thank you, Spider-Man. Now, James, what toy is it that you've shown everybody or that you've named after me? What is the toy? Alice, can you tell me what is it? I don't know what it is. I don't know what it is. I'm very confused. The little skeleton. Is that what it is? Is the muscle man? Oh, Spider-Man having fun in the tent there, are we? Don't you think that's appropriate for James this afternoon? Calling him Spider-Man, he's been digging up all kinds of spiders. He mentioned he didn't believe me the other day when I said I had found the black button spider in that in that box outside the tent, and he thought, no, it can't be. And when he looked, he couldn't believe it. He thought, it is indeed. And this morning, also, James and I found a brown button spider in the plug points near the vehicles. So him and I are a little bit nervous at the moment just to go anywhere because of the amount of those button spiders who we know are very venomous. And I know James has got into a lot of detail with that already. Now I'm heading down to Chitwa Dam. That's my plan. I'm going to try and see if there are any animals in the clearing, which I'm hoping. I'm sure the hippo are there, and maybe we're lucky and there might still be a crocodile out basking in what's left of the sunlight. But I think we'll have a beautiful sunset from there, so I'll try reposition. I may lose signal just getting there, but once I'm there, it should be okay on the dam. So let's see. Warthogs. Hello, warties. I can hear the hippo in the dam in the distance. There we get some wonderful calls. Lovely. Nice to see the warthogs. I know Jamie saw some earlier. But always nice to see them out in the open. That's a nice big male that we can see. Alright, I'm just having a little chuckle at the ladies in the FC, everyone. I do apologize. But it sounds like Jamie has something in the road she would like to show you.
It seems as though we've found something relatively unexpected in the middle of the road. We get to feel so familiar with the roads that we drive them every day, twice a day. Now when something is different, it stands out rather spectacularly. And the fact that our rhino carcass that we drive past every time we're on this road, we know that it's here. The fact that it is now lying scattered in the middle of the road is a bit confusing. I want to try and... oh, my goodness. I can't show you this. I can, actually. That's my earpiece. Craig, I don't know if you're able to focus on the spiders that are currently billowing. Never mind, they're billowing towards you. And now... This is so cool. We must have just caught a whole load of them while they were parachuting. There's one here on my earpiece itself, over here. Ooh. A spider full drive. It's racing towards the label that clearly says Brent and not Jamie, but we'll ignore that. There, can you see it there, Craig? Huh. So there's about 20 of them. Most of them on my earpiece or at least around my leg. And then the rest of them where we plug our earpieces in. I don't know if we caught a whole load of baby spiders as they were parachuting away from wherever they've hatched, or if they've hatched in the vehicle and we've just decided this is where they want to be. Can you see them there, Craig? You can. Oh, awesome. Huh. Well, here's hoping they're not all the brown button spiders' offspring that have probably guaranteed to have hatched at some point. Also, you can tell the original color of Rusty, just by the way. Rusty apparently used to be red and not our green. Are you little brown button spiders? Oh, sorry, I breathed on them funny. Don't they look like brown button spiders, but we'll just pretend that that's not the case and carry on, and I'll just casually sweep some of them off my leg. Oh, the rhino carcass. Wonder what's been playing here. I wonder if it was a person that was playing here. No, it wasn't. It was a hyena. I mean, its tracks are here as clear as day. It just goes to show that even an ancient carcass, and this carcass is about 2 years old, hyenas might still come and have a little bit of a chew. It's not like they didn't know it was here either, but maybe the hyena was just feeling a bit bored. His tracks are all over the place, so it was definitely a hyena. That, by the way, this rhino wasn't a poaching victim. It was a rhino that died of natural causes. That is really smelly, actually. But also, the hip joint, so part of the pelvis of this rhino, they're really, really massive. And this is a small rhino. This was a small rhino. There's still a little bit of meat on the muscle attachment point into the bone. So there was something for this hyena to chew on. You can see clearly the socket, the way that the joint would sit in the ball and socket joint of the hip. It's really very cool. So that's the hip bone, or part of the hip bone. Apparently this one had a fight with another rhino. I'm going to put it back off the road. Ugh, need some hand sanitizer. This is its head, or part of its head. This is the strength of a hyena. This is heavy. This is really very heavy. This weighs more than that giraffe skull does in the tent with James. So this was a rhino skull. Hold on a minute. You don't really get to talk about them all that often, so we might as well take the opportunity to. Oh, that's quite gross. Alright, so this is the top part of the head, and this is where the brain sits behind here. This is the orbital cavities over here. And then the nose has been largely chewed off by hyenas. The growth plate of the horn sits around about here. So this nose would typically extend another half a foot outwards in a proper skull. And the growth point sits over here and over here. And you can actually very clearly see that this wasn't a poaching victim, because the growth point of the second horn is still visible. And that's the part that usually gets cut away when poachers hack them up, which is terrible to say, but there's no point in denying it. And then here, it's teeth. Can you see it there, Craig? Are they high enough? The molars. Yeah. Over there. So there you go. Hyena dragged it out, had another good chew for some reason. Can't have tasted that great. And it's not like, maybe there is a shortage of food around, but I don't think so. Now let's pop this back as well. Here we go. So we know about this rhino skull. We've driven past it many times, but I've never seen it out in the open like this. Obviously the hyena had a great time. It was a vertebra, for a sense of scale. And as I said, this is not a big rhino, or wasn't a particularly big rhino. Here we go. Ugh. A little bit stinky. Not too serious. We don't talk about rhino, we don't show rhino. Well, not we don't talk about them, we don't show rhino, as you know. But for our new viewers, because of the poaching issues within South Africa, the wild... There's something running very rapidly away. What on earth was that? I just hear things crashing and cracking. Hold on. So we don't show rhino, it's Wild Earth's policy not to. I wonder if I was really very close to an elephant that I didn't realize. Or a buffalo. Something came thundering through here. There's the tracks where it... I think that's where it came running out. No, that's going the other way. Something came dashing through here at high speed. I have no idea. Huh. Wasn't an elephant. There's no fresh tracks here. This must have been what it was. I must have scared something relatively large. It didn't pay any attention to any obstacles in its way. It just went thundering through. It just goes to show you probably should pay attention when you get out of the vehicle. Sometimes I forget to. There's the running tracks. Those are fresh. You can see the way the dirt's scuffed. This was an animal moving at high speed. Such high speed that I'm not quite sure what it was. I'm not 100% sure. Something with a hoof. And the size of the hoof, I'd say not buffalo. Maybe a wildebeest? I don't know. It's a mystery. Whenever it is, it's probably still continuing east at high speed. Ugh. Oh, hi, Monique. Monique in London. Monique, I don't think I've actually answered a question from you in ages. Monique, you want to know how do rhino, going back to our rhino exploration, interact with other animals? They will, if they find lions, I've seen them chase lions before. I've also seen young lions practice hunting rhino. So they do occasionally, and they are capable of hunting rhino if they've got big enough numbers. I know just recently in the sands, a lion pride killed a black rhino calf. That was last week sometime. So it does happen. Other rhino, it depends obviously on their social structure. Antelope and so on, they tend to ignore, they're not too bothered by. Occasionally you get a short-tempered rhino, particularly dominant bulls that might decide that they want to chase everything else away. And there's that famous picture of the rhino with the zebra foal. The rhino that rescued the zebra foal. And the rhino didn't rescue the zebra foal. It was a zebra foal stuck in mud. The rhino went to investigate and did some prodding and ultimately ended up killing the poor zebra foal. But I mean, it came across the series of photographs like the rhino had rescued it. So I've seen them occasionally chase antelope, but it's unusual. Quite rare to see something like that. I can see through the trees that there is a potential for a gorgeous sunset. Apparently Byron's got a slightly better view away from the... Never mind, I take that back. I've changed my mind. In theory. Apparently Byron disappeared as I was sending you across to him. Oh my goodness. Okay, so apparently it's National Leopard Day, but all we're going to find is spiders. Let's go back to James, who's found another one.
Found another one. I didn't find this one. Seb found it. There it is. It's a jumping spider, and we're moving very carefully around it. You can just see it there. I know it's a bit difficult. There it is. We're moving carefully around it because it's a little bit disconcerted with having been disturbed, and it's made a little home for itself inside this leaf, which will be returned to the tree from whence it came. But what I want to do now is try and show you this thing under the microscope, because then you will see something special. Please do not jump, little spider. There. How cool is that? I know it's a little bit jerky, sorry about that. I'm actually holding the microscope with me hand. But those front feet, those front legs, are equipped for hunting. A little bit like a lion's almost. And he will use those front feet, or she, to grab her prey. There, you can see them there. Beautiful. The focus is quite difficult to maintain. Isn't that fantastic? And look how outsized those front feet are, and that's because she jumps onto her prey. Sort of immobilizes it with the front feet. She'll then bite it and then wrap it in silk. And you can see she does produce silk. Gosh, she's beautiful. Now, Creatic, you say, is the spider poisonous? Creatlic. Spiders cannot be poisonous. You can eat them all, but they can be venomous. And that means that they can envenomate, or when they bite you, you will be inflicted with a poison or injected with a poison or venom. And this spider is venomous to its prey, but not to us, no. It might be able to give you a bite that would feel like a particularly mild bee sting. But to you and I, no. And you know, one of the reasons we know that, of course, is that those front legs there are the main weapons it has. That's what it uses to catch its prey. We're looking at its backside now. Just come back to me a sec, Alice, and I'll try and move it around a bit. There we are. And what I would like it to do, of course, is to go back into its home. But it's not doing that just yet. Ooh. Look at that. Have a go back to the microscope. There we go. Just stunning. Isn't that amazing? I know it's a little bit jerky. It's because I'm holding it. I'm going to move it again. Sorry, everybody. Laura, you're wondering about how they're able to jump, I think. Oh, look at that. Laura, I think they use those front feet as well. And I'm not sure exactly what other mechanism they use. I think it's probably largely those very strong front feet. Sorry, excuse the jerking. It's because I'm trying to get some focus here. Sorry about that, everybody. I know some of you are probably now feeling quite nauseous. There we go. And so they'll use those front feet to jump as well. Now, oh, she's moving. Look at her eyes. Oh my goodness, look at her.
Yes.
Hello, my girl. Please don't jump up. It looks like she's going to jump out of the screen. Those of you who might be a little bit arachnophobic will be leaning back from your screens now. How cool is that?
Sure.
Look at her red markings on the front of her face.
And those mandibles.
And those amazing mandibles, yeah. This is just beautiful. I think this spider might be one of the top things I've ever looked at under the microscope. She's climbing towards the light. She's reaching for it. Do not reach for the light. It is fake. It is not really Elysium that you have found.
Very mobile. Huh?
You know what? I don't want her to jump off this leaf. So let's come back here. And let's release her back onto her little... There she is. And I'll just show you where she lives. She lives inside, in between these two little leaves here. Just in there. And there you can see her thinking about going home. That is so cool. Now, Ruki, you're wondering about ingesting the venom and whether it would cause you harm or not. No, not from a spider like this. While we take it outside, I will tell you that in theory, if you ingested the venom of a black mamba, it wouldn't do you any harm. Now, a black mamba, of course, one of our most venomous snakes. She hasn't jumped off. And that would only be the case if you didn't have any cuts in your mouth and you didn't have any cuts going down to your digestive system. Once it reached the acid of your digestive or of your stomach, the proteins, the very complicated proteins that make up the venom, would be broken down. And so in theory, you could even ingest You could even ingest the venom of a black mamba. So certainly the spider's venom would not harm you at all. Right, we'll leave her there. She can move home if she wants to. And I just think that was brilliant. Okay, well, the sun is now set, so we'll turn a few lights on, and while we do that, we'll ask Byron when he's going to turn his lights on.
Spider-Man, I'm going to turn them on right now. There we go. The lights are on, but it doesn't make a difference. Not dark enough just yet. Still no luck, everyone. I do apologize. That's the way it goes sometimes. We've been searching high and low and just no sign or track. I heard some guinea fowl alarm calling earlier, but unfortunately it was in an area we just couldn't get to, and I think even if we did manage to find something there, we wouldn't have had signal with you. So it is unfortunate, but it's not to say they definitely saw something. It could have been a bird, but did sound like some guinea fowl alarm calling a deep drainage line, but there was no chance of getting in there to see what it was. It was too far for us. They moved that big stump. There we go. There was that big pushed over marula. Someone managed to move it. I'm assuming they used a tractor for that. It was very heavy. And Koki Franklin calling off in the distance. Venkatesh, you asked how big is the safari park. So this is a natural game reserve, which is very, very big. It's roughly around 3.2 million hectares altogether, almost 7 million acres of land. So it's huge, it's massive. I mean, it's the largest game reserve in South Africa, and by far. And it's bigger than some countries. It's bigger than some European countries. Just to put things into perspective for you, it's really, really large. The animals are able to move freely throughout the entire reserve, wherever they want. There are obviously perimeter fences around the areas to keep people safe that live outside and to keep the animals safe. But the animals within the game reserve never see those fences because they never head out into those areas. So the fences are just basically there more for the people, to keep the people safe if anything is close by, and also to prevent people from coming into the game reserves. That's the only reason why there are perimeter fences. But like I say, the animals never see them. We never see them. Even where we are, we never see any fences. Oh, what are those little guys? Oh, did you see them? Little birds running through on the ground. I wonder if they weren't baby little quails. Where did they go? Very skittish little birds. Now let's see. Oh, I doubt we'll be able to spot them now. They're moving through the grass. I'm looking carefully. Tiny little birds. 3 of them. They were definitely chicks. They were very small. Ran across the road very quickly. And they have disappeared completely. Also, with the light that we've got at the moment, I doubt we'd be able to see them. It's not great light. Oh no, it was very quick. I wish I knew what that was. I'm not sure. Anyway, let's continue. See, there's always something going on. Always little things running or darting across the road. Temperatures definitely cooled down quite a bit, which is nice. I love these autumn evenings, cool temperature, very nice. And you know what? It's temperatures like this that you might get predators start getting active, waking up, moving around. Who knows? So I know some of you might be wondering what bird it was that I saw, but I don't know. It was those little birds that just ran. I couldn't see. I couldn't tell. It looked like little chicks. My guess was leaning towards little quails, perhaps young quails that just ran across the road quickly, but I didn't see. I couldn't see, so I'm not sure. Oh dear, so it sounds like the monkey's alarm calling around Gallagher. I'm on Central at the moment. Let's try see if I can get there quickly. I'm quite far. I've just come from the one side. James can apparently hear them. Monkeys and impala. Oh no, there's something alarm calling there. All right. Let's go to James, get an update where those alarm calls are coming from. I'll try to get there.
So where you, Seb is pointing the camera there is where the impala are alarm calling. They're over there. Just listen a second. You won't be able to hear them because we don't have ambient microphone on this. Yes. So the Vuurtela Dam, keep an eye on the dam cam actually. If the Zoomy is watching, just swing the dam cam far all the way to the left if you can. You might pick up something there. The Djuma Dam is kind of over there, the Gallagher Pan is over there, and it sounds to me like there's an animal in the drainage line between the two camps. So that's very exciting. Maybe Byron will get there. I'm not sure how close he is. In the meantime, I found something else to show you. Maybe we'll get a leopard on Leopard Day, World Leopard Day. The zoo, my dam cam feed is frozen. Anyway, send us through, would you, one-word tweet. We know we found thus far to fail to find you a leopard, but send us through a one-word tweet telling us what leopards mean to you, and maybe even the Safari Live leopards if you like. What they mean to you, what do leopards mean to you, hashtag Safari Live, one word, please. That would be wonderful. We'll have a look at those once we've had a look at these. Oh, yes, there we are. Let's go to the microscope, can we? Look at these little ants. We've got some beautiful well, there were. They live in this thorn. There we are. They live in this little thorn. You can see them knocking about there. And I've looked and searched far and wide to find a thorn with slender ants in it before, and this is the first one that I found and managed to put under the microscope. Now these ants are less than 1 millimeter long. They are tiny, tiny little things. And they're going about collecting things. They keep leaving, going off on the black paper there, and then coming back and going back into their home. And as with all of the creatures that we have under the microscope, we will release them, I promise. I just think this is fantastic. And as I was saying earlier, there's the detail of what's going on out here is sometimes so far beneath our notice that we stamp really fairly carelessly when we walk around, certainly when we drive around. And how many countless creatures like this have we sent to an unfortunate and untimely demise on account of our carelessness? But the same goes for an elephant that's walking through the bush. Same goes for a rhino or a buffalo or even something like a lion. If a lion stands on this, you can be sure that he would tear it out of his foot, and these ants would be scattered to the wind like so much chaff. I think that's beautiful. Now, I think they're slender ants. And just to keep you posted, the monkeys don't seem to be alarm calling anymore. So I would suggest Byron began his search on quarantine clearings. I'm just seeing him racing there. I can see his feed. He's racing along. But yeah, I'm not sure exactly where he is. Anyway, let's just keep looking at these ants for a little while. And we'll hopefully get a couple of one-word tweets from you in the meantime. Now, they're living in the thorn of Acacia exuvialis. And Acacia exuvialis is the flaky thorn, which was the tree that I showed you earlier. Dana, you say strength. That's your word for the one-word leopard tweet. Yes, I think strength is a good one. Diana, you say magnificent. I'm trying to think of one for myself. Seb, what's your one-word tweet for leopards?
Spotted.
Spotted. Seb says that they're spotted. Yes, they are. That is true.
No, I'm trying to spot one.
Right, spotted. Good idea. Yes, okay. My one-word tweet is going to be majestic. Good. Okay, let's leave those antis to them. In fact, no, let's not. Let's take them back. Right, we have dam cam action again. In fact, shall we go to the dam cam? Can we do that? Is that possible? Right, we're at the dam cam. There, the impala. They're not looking particularly skittish. Now, if our dear Zumi, whoever you are, thank you for your hard work. Thank you for what you're doing. Yeah, if you could keep swinging that way, keep going to the right there. Oh dear, you see the lights starting to fade, and so this camera really does struggle. Keep swinging right as far as you can, and then those lights shining into the lens will stop it doing this. Unfortunately, it's those lights shining into the lens that are making it try and focus. Just swing all the way right if you can. That, of course, is a slight delay from when my voice gets to the Zoomies ear. No, that's the left. Okay. Let's head back to Jamie while we try and figure out what's going on here. She is back with, well, I say, next to spiders, the second most spotted animal we've seen today. Cancel link, off sync. Right, okay. Good, right, and the Zoomie's going the right way now. Let's go back to the dam cam if we can. Can we? We can, there we are. Now, no, we can't. There are the ones that were shouting. They don't look particularly freaked out at the moment, but it is quite difficult to tell. Yeah, maybe this thing, whatever it is, has gone up to Gallagher Pan, maybe up towards Mvubu Road. I just don't know where Byron is. I'll tell you what, show you where Byron is if you like. Come back to me here. And, well, here's a good excuse to just sort of show us, yeah? Now, if we go over to this map here, there, this is quite fun. I wish we could do this live, or at least without sort of doing it through the camera, but that's cool for now. There is the Vuyatela Dam. That's the dam there. We were looking, can you see the little finger here, the little handy here? Yeah, you can. There's the hand. That's where those impala were. That's Mvubu Road there. Obviously, this is not a live picture. This is a Google Earth map. And then over there is the Galago Pan. Now, Byron is this little thing here. He's on the dam wall, and so while I zoom slowly down towards him, let's go across and see what he's found.
So, James, okay, now I'm trying to work out, everyone, where we need to be looking for these alarm calls. James said he heard monkeys alarm calling, impala alarm calling. Now, I just need to find out if it was to this side of the camp, or was it in the drainage line between Vuyatela and Gallagher? Hold on. Where was that? So, James, if you can relay a message to everyone, and was it... Okay, so it is towards Gallagher, that's what I thought. Okay, let's go have a look down there. We're not too far. Hold on, stick with us, because this could get exciting, and you never know, we could potentially find something at any minute. And this is exciting, isn't it? Right, okay, so heading towards Gallagher. Okay, we're going to keep our eyes peeled now. I'm going to use a spotlight. It might help us. Yeah, I think we're good now for spotlights. So it might make it okay here. There's a lot of impala around here. I'm not going to shine on them. But over here too, there's some rutting impala around here. The males chasing females. So I don't think anything here. And I think James means closer to that drainage line just between Gallagher and Vuyatela. Let's see, here we go. We're starting to get closer to a little drainage line just going to go through a little dip here. I don't think we'll lose signal, but Alice, I don't hear you there. Yes, okay. Thanks, Alice. All right, so James says towards Gallego Pan is probably a better bet, so I'm heading there, not too far. But I do want to scan this area carefully. Here's a giraffe. Hello, giraffe. Terribly sorry, we're not going to stick around. A beautiful female. But the reason why I don't want to stick with her, and I do apologize everyone, but if there are alarm calls, if there's a predator in the area, it's going to be moving quickly. As I said, it's cooled down nicely, so the chances of things moving around now are a lot greater. So let's see. I'm dodging little holes and stumps while shining a spotlight. It's not easy. There we go. Okay, I'm going to start looking carefully around here. Like James said, closer towards Gallego Pan. I hope all of you are sitting on the edge of your seats like I am. Okay, there's a nyala over there. They would have given a bark, a very prominent bark, if they heard an alarm, if they saw anything. So I don't think James heard any nyala barking. And they look quite relaxed. Okay, now we're approaching this drainage line now. So I'm going to have a look around here and then head closer towards... now, my one-word tweet for a leopard while we're racing around trying to find a potential leopard, I think. One-word tweet, I would say regal. I think my one-word tweet would be regal. Really beautiful regal animals. Dave, do you have one? Okay, Dave will think of one. Hang on. Come on, I don't want to miss anything, everyone. So Holly, you said wildness. Or wildness, yeah. For your tweet. Super dude said unpredictable. Oh, come on. It's exciting, but I don't hear any alarm calls at the moment. I'm here at Gallego Pan now, but we're going to check very carefully. Maybe there's something lying at the waterhole, or possibly just moved off and is lying not too far. Okay, so James says maybe head up towards Gallego shortcut, Gallego Road. Alright, James. How's this for teamwork, everyone? James heard alarm calls. He's given us an idea of where to look. Now we are doing the looking and the searching and trying to pick up any sign of a potential predator. Maybe it had a quick drink at Gallego Pan and moved off again. Jamie's also coming up here. Oh. I'm trying to check every little path that's leading through the thicker areas. As we saw this morning with Tingana, leopards, you know, just because we do see them on the road now and then doesn't mean they're always on the roads. They will move through thicker areas too. Oh no, I'm looking on top of termite mounds. Nothing there in the trees. Don't worry, I do think that, as I said, it's always too soon to panic. But if there was something around here, we would most certainly find it. Well, that's what I think. Especially with all the teamwork going on. With the thing is, it was a while ago and it took us a little bit longer to get into the area because we were so far. Not to worry. Okay, now I hear Jamie is also heading into this area to give us a hand. Let's quickly head across to her and see how far she is.
We are nearly at the Voyatella Dam, so we can help Byron out with whatever's been causing alarm calls. But look at this, we've got an owl, and it looks absolutely stunning in the top of this dead tree. I'm pretty sure it's a Varose. It looks absolutely massive. It's hard to get a sense of any colouring or anything like that. Is it an owl? Hold on. We have a bird of prey. Let us rephrase that. Is it an owl though? I thought I saw little tufts that looked very owl-like. It does look like an owl. The shape of the head and the shape of the body and that sort of round tip to the tail. I think it's a Varose. The biggest the biggest owl that we get out here. Absolutely massive, and I think one of the most beautiful birds of prey that we get. It soars about searching for roosting guinea fowl and spur fowl or scrub hares. Big prey for a big bird. And you saw that fork-tailed drongo. They've been mobbing it. There's arrow-marked babblers alarm calling, and I heard a squirrel alarm call earlier, which I wasn't sure exactly what it was alarm calling about, but it must have been this bird. This is stunning though, look at this. Bird of prey, check. Dramatic dead tree, check. African sunset, check. The recipe for a pretty shot. Just giving you an opportunity to take in the atmosphere. Now, there's nothing much more dramatic than a silhouette of a dead tree, but I can think of one thing, and that is a silhouette of James.
There we are, everybody. We are now standing on this tree looking towards where Baron is driving. He's over there, and I've just seen his lights come sort of scuttling past in that direction. I use the word scuttle because, of course, we've seen so many spiders today, so I have them on my mind. Now, if it was Karula, which we think it probably isn't, obviously, but if it was, she'd probably come up through here, and there's a path that goes up and onto quarantine clearings. And so Mvula certainly has used that path. I've seen Tingana use that path as well. So if there is a leopard around, it could easily be passing through here and onto quarantine clearings. And Byron is just over there looking around in that exact area. So with any luck, we might be lucky on that front. Then you might hear a buzzing noise in the background. That is not a mechanical buzzing noise. That is the buzzing of my very favorite insect, and very kind of it to start its song this late in the season. Of course, most cicadas are now under the ground, and as many of you will know, especially those of you in the United States, they are some of the longest lived insects in the world. Some of them will stay under the ground for up to 17 years. All right, we're going from something, well, my size down to something almost my size, standing in a very similar situation.
Scanning the situation and looking around to see what potential prey is there. Definitely a Varose, so there we go. There were actually two, believe it or not. I didn't spot the second one until I drove around for a better angle for the first, and it flew out of the tree next to it. Presumably a mated pair, probably the ones that we often find around that massive jackalberry on Gowrie Cutline. Generally speaking, their territories are around about 4 kilometers in length, usually along some kind of a river stretch, but not always. But the Mulwati, which is the drainage line, basically a dried up river system, is the perfect place for a Verreaux's eagle owl pair to set up camp. This is magnificent. Out quite early actually, before it's got completely dark. I wonder what animals were alarm calling that were heard around Galago Pan. Probably wasn't this Verreaux's eagle owl pair that set them off. I just wanted to show you, just so we could conclude the mystery. Really quite beautiful. But now we've got to rush because it is International Leopard Day. We've got alarm calls. I'm going to go and help Byron out like we promised. Now while he's checking the northern side of the dam, I'm going to go and check around Voyatella Dam itself. And there's a lot of game paths that lead between Galago Pan and Voyatella. And actually not many other places to go unless they go around the back and past our camp, which is also a possibility. So I think Byron's already checked that route. So we'll go and check the southern section. You never know. We've got a few minutes left. This International Leopard Day could end with a leopard yet. But if it doesn't, keep an eye out on the Djuma Dam camera to see if you can spot what it was that has caused such great alarm among the various citizens of Galago. Now don't forget to send through your one-word tweet on World Leopard Day. What do leopards mean to you? What is your favorite thing about leopards? What do they bring or what do they add to your life? And you can do that on #SafariLive on Twitter. We'd love to hear from you. I know James has asked you earlier. We would absolutely love to hear from you. I'm going to throw one in. I'm trying to think of one. I'm trying to think of one quickly. What shall be my one-word tweet for leopards? Mist. As in M-I-S-S-E-D, not mist like the cloud. Alright, but you never know. That might change in a heartbeat. Let's head over to Byron and see whether he's had any luck.
I haven't unfortunately. Now I've found a whole group of impala around here. Here they are, but they're all heading out to the clearing. I'm just turning my lights off so I don't shine directly in their eyes. Sorry everyone. Did you see anything? No, it doesn't look like they're willing to answer or help us out, but they're all heading out to quarantine, to the clearings above camp. I just want to check down here once more, but I think we were too late, everyone. It's very difficult for... what was that? Was it a scrub hair? Can you see that? No, what is that, Dave? At the base of that little tree? A scrub hair it is, eh? There we go. There it goes. Oh dear. Not that we don't like seeing scrub hairs. We're just looking for something a little bit bigger, with bigger teeth. Lady Lawyer says her tweet is graceful. For leopards, yeah, definitely graceful. Elusive, has that been said yet? Michael, you did say elusive, yeah. I'm not sure, I can't think of any others now. Lou in Final Control says stealthy. That's a good one, Lou. Oh dear. Oh dear. Well, whatever they saw or heard, it's disappeared. I tried to even see if I could see any tracks. Did Sebastian say popcorn? It sounds like Sebastian's one word is popcorn for the leopard. Okay. It's because of probably that scent that they've got, that they give off. It smells a little bit like popcorn. Oh dear. Anyway, no, dear, it's a bit frustrating when you get so close. But I suppose that's the way it goes sometimes. Not sure where this potential predator was, if it was. But if the monkeys and the impala were alarm calling, that I am almost certain is a dead set guarantee that there was a predator around here today. You never know, we could still find something popping out. There, you asked if I could make a sound of a leopard. Oh dear. Let's see. Okay. Leopard territorial call. Let's see. Maybe if I call, James might think that the leopard's close by. Good? Not good? I wonder, James. Okay, well, it's time for Jamie to give her leopard call. See you all later.
The question is, am I going to try and do the territorial call, or am I going to try and do the sound of leopards mating? Because both of them I'm equally bad at. I don't know. Shall I try both? What the... Why not? Okay, so... here's my leopard territorial call. Right. I always take one. I feel like the guys have it slightly easier than the girls do when it comes to imitating leopard calls. Craig, could I request your contribution or not so much?
Not too sure.
Craig goes, no, he's not too sure. Should we try the leopard mating one? It goes something like this. I'm sorry, that was all we could give you on International Leopard Day. We did try. Let's go over to James and for the last few minutes so he can do his call. Bye-bye.
Well, my call, well, you can see I'm just doing a little bit of clean-up here. I need to sit down for my call. I'm not very good at the mating call. I'm not sure that I'm very good at the territorial call either, but I'm going to give it a go. Then the mating call depends, you know, is it coming from the female or the male? The female starts off going, and then there's a tremendous crescendo as the male bites her on the back of the head and she swings around to grab him and she says, good. Well, as the credits roll, it is time for me to say goodbye to you on this International Leopards Day. Thank you very much for joining us, for